Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yeah, he's got a little time.
And we are live.
What's up, Doom Nation, and welcome back. You're listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. It is our first podcast of 2024, and we have a nice little doozy for you, a nice January 6th Insurrection Party reunion. But as always, your hosts, Skaggs, and yours truly, the captain. Skaggs, who do we have here with us today?
Returning guests. We got the man Garret, one of our third.
I'm actually an honorary co-host.
Yeah, you're
okay?
honorary co-host. Yeah, let's put it that way. Yeah, honorary co-host from the Sergeant and the Samurai podcast, and then we have the most. Now he really is the most shadow banned person in the world. More shadow banned than Alex Jones, because Alex Jones is back on Twitter and he kind of had this parade where he's now back everywhere. Right, so Mr. James Curry from We the People Radio is here as well.
What's going on, boys? Excited to be here, ready to gangbang on the government. And
My favorite term in the world, gangbanging on the government.
No better day to do it on than January 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
I forget where I got that term. It was from a comedy skit.
From a
I think
gangbang?
it was Cat Williams, actually. He's like,
Well, he just dropped a huge fucking interview that is
unbelievable.
tearing apart the internet.
Names,
Yeah.
But I think it's for him because, like, some people just wake up angry and they're like gangbanging on breakfast. Oh my god, that's fucking great. And
Have any of you guys seen that interview all the way through, or just
No, I feel like I've seen so many clips that I've probably watched
3 hours.
Okay, so then I probably watched like an hour of this already.
yeah.
2 hours and 46 minutes on Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only saw that he was saying how Joe Rogan doesn't want him on the podcast and all this stuff, and then Rogan retweeted him right after and was like, I do want you on the podcast. I don't know. He's like, come on. That's it. So that was the only thing I saw of it. Was it any more interesting than that? I don't know.
Then you're anointed.
Yeah. Just Cat Williams was naming names of like Black Hollywood, and just he had this real interesting rant about if you like, I guess if you sell your soul or you sign on the dotted line, we'll give you a light-skinned black chick for a wife that never does interviews, and you'll get like a 10 movie deal.
Harvey.
Yeah.
And how everybody in his
did he
crew
really?
has the same
I like
setup.
Steve Harvey.
He called out Kevin Hart. He's like, Kevin Hart literally came out of nowhere and
was the most famous comedian ever. Yeah.
Ever. And then he's like, he talked about Harvey Weinstein and how he's just the tip of the iceberg, and how Harvey Weinstein offered to suck his cock in front of all of his boys.
Yep.
And and he told him no. And then he walked on set and there was 3 other black dudes. And he's like, I got this job and I told this guy no. What did you motherfuckers do?
Yeah.
He's like, P. Diddy was trying. He really wants to rape my butthole.
Dude, there's been so much shit about P. Diddy for years, and now it's just like really, really coming to light. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I said Diddy killed.
His fucking name is Puff Daddy.
I always said Diddy killed Biggie.
100%.
Who benefited the most? Who became wildly famous and rich the second Biggie died? Diddy stepped in shit the second Biggie got shot up.
Did you see Mace's interview where he went off about, he's like, oh, nobody can talk. Biggie, dead. Oh, Craig Mack, dead. Oh, Black Rob, dead. He's like, but I'm not dead. And I didn't take that money. I didn't do that thing or whatever. Mace was going at Puff Daddy hard.
Well, Mace went to God. He left
he did
the world and went to God. Like,
welcome back.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is some reason, some satanic reason as to why he made that switch.
Yeah.
The offers that were made. Think about it, right after Biggie died, Mace was like the guy. That was the next guy. Like, he was on.
Mace was one of my favorites.
He was great too. He had a good flow.
Yeah.
And Diddy was pictured with famously pictured with Rachel Chandler. I don't know if you guys were familiar with her.
Epstein client or trafficker.
She was a procurer. She was like someone who would get the other girls.
Yeah,
like an Alice Mack.
Isn't there like
or like an Alice Mack.
Wasn't she
ran the show? Maxwell called the shots.
Wasn't she Eminem's sister too? Apparently.
No, she wasn't Eminem's sister, but she was photoed with Eminem when she was 16.
Yeah.
and bragged about how she was 16 on her Instagram. Rachel Chandler is a child handler, is how she got the name. Child handler, Rachel Chandler. And she was very tied to Balenciaga and the artist that ran Balenciaga scandal. That's where she made her living in the fashion world. She was very big in the fashion world.
Bro, that
she would bring
Balenciaga stuff is fucking weird.
Yeah,
what's
all
it?
the
I
modern
remember
shit.
Natalie. She covered that really well. And
Yeah, Natalie.
I'm not like a religious person, man, but that shit, made me fucking start to rethink, like the existence of Satan for real and all that stuff. It's fucking weird.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I used to not believe in God. I used to not believe in God at all. Like I thought it was
early here.
I thought it was fucking fugazi.
2024.
All nonsense. And I've been doing this research forever. And because I was doing this research, like I was in a very dark place. I was a very negative person. Like I really didn't think that there was I was like, they control everything. Like I'm just gonna live life, and when they take us to the gulags, they take us to the gulags. Like, what's the point of trying to be successful or trying to build anything if they're just gonna take control of it anyway? Like I had such a terrible outlook on life. And I was like, if God existed, why would he allow the world to be this fucking?
I asked that all the
I
time.
knew about Epstein in 05. Like I was talking about this shit forever. And I was telling people about the Satanism because Epstein JFK led me to the Satanism, which led me to the pedophilia and Epstein and all of that, and the secret societies and everything that was going on over there. But it took me until watching the documentary Out of Shadows that was put together by Mike Smith, who's a director and stuntman. And it's a great, great documentary. If you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it. It's free on Twitter. It's free on Rumble. You can watch it for free. It's like an hour and a half. They interview this French banker who was a Dutch banker who was invited to one of their parties, and he described it like Eyes Wide Shut. And he's like, you could see the emotion, just him crying of the things that they asked him to do. And it was just the most evil, evil shit in the world. And they would go to this spiritual healer after they do all of this evil, evil shit. And this is how Mike got into it and found out about it. Because she was telling him all this, like she wouldn't like name specifics, but tell him how all these celebrities would come to her after doing all this evil so she could, right them spiritually and things like that. And, I put some really deep thought into it. And I was aware that these people know more things and have access to information that we don't have. Like just the tip of the iceberg is the Vatican and all of the documents they have, and the Library of Alexandria. Like I'm sure we can all agree on that. And these people worship Satan. Those people that have access to all of this information, all of this knowledge, they understand the world, the universe better than we do. These people worship Satan. Why? They don't do it for no reason. Why? And if there is a Satan, there is a God.
Yep. If there's dark, there's got to be light.
At that moment, I knew God was real. I knew God was real. And then very quickly after that, I had some really fucking weird experiences meeting some people. And it was just like God was just like standing right in front of me, telling me like, yo, no, you're onto it, dude. And I was like, my biggest regret in life, my grandmother, I have her rosaries behind me that right next to the Jets helmet, and her last birthday letter that she gave to me. She meant the world to me. She was very close to me, and she died in 2014. But one of my biggest regrets, and this woman was such a devout Christian and had such faith in God. Her 17-year-old son died in a car accident. Her husband died when he was in his 60s. She gave birth to a stillborn, and 3 of her children are fucking nuts, like absolutely fucking certifiably psychopaths. And this woman had such a strong belief in God. And I remember being a teenager telling my grandmother to her face that I didn't believe in God. And it's one of my biggest regrets in life, and something that I can't wait to see her again and tell her that I'm sorry, because it took seeing these evil fucks, their belief in Satan and pure evil, like the most pure evil you could possibly wrap your mind around. Because like we haven't even gotten into the really bad part about Epstein. Like we haven't even gotten into the part where they're putting these kids in terrible fear and then slaughtering them. Like we haven't even gotten into that part. Like we're just breaching the service for the normies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, people
Yeah,
flew
right.
on his plane. People
Yeah.
did this.
And now
They went
Nate-
to the island. They had
Organs
sex
weren't
with
being
It's-
harvested.
underage girls.
It's a lot of stuff we already knew, right? The point I was trying to make
Yeah.
to Garrett you the other day, I was like, yeah, but it's good. Like now we have, you see, like we weren't crazy. We weren't, it's not a conspiracy.
Oh, it's very
fucking
good.
theory. It's good when
It's
you get
another
that
attempt,
confirmation to show people. We learned a little bit more, man. We got the former Israeli prime minister is in there now, Ehud Barak. So at least in my opinion, I have now like
Not really good.
I have like
Uh,
confirmation for myself, man. I mean, this is definitely an intelligence
More than
Mossad
Yeah.
linked
it's
thing.
funny. I was just thinking as James was explaining this and we're talking about it, like this is going to be an interesting year, but it's also going to be a boring year because I have a funny feeling
Confirmation
like
year.
a lot of stuff that's going to come out. We're going to be like, yeah, I was talking about that 2 years ago. Yeah, no, we had an episode about like 10 weeks ago about that. Oh, one of our first episodes that got flagged was about, I think it's just going to be a boring year of like, bro, we told you about this.
Sure, but you should though, right? I think back to like let's use like a not
It'll be-
let's use a
This
not
is gonna
crazy
be the year of
conspiracy.
the receipts.
Yeah, of the receipts, right? Like think back to like Ron Paul, 10 years ago, right? Or maybe even 20 years ago, warning about like the folly of all these wars in the Middle East and stuff like that. I mean, how good does he look now, right? Like there's
Yeah.
still value
talks
in
about him,
making.
which is wild.
What's that?
See, my
No one
only
talks
thing
about him, which is sad.
I know,
Right.
but you know what sucks is like, and I know me and you have had this conversation before, Skaggs. Like, do we have 10 years to be like, yeah, Rambo was right from where we are now?
No.
No,
I
no.
do
You
think
know what I'm saying?
I'm more
Like,
optimistic than that.
Because yeah, me and Skaggs talked about this for a while. He's like more optimistic about it. He's like, yeah, but this is good because like it's showing that even though we're right, it's going to take time to unfold and everything else. And I agree with him, but like at the same time, like I said to him, and you both were like, no, like we don't have another 20 years. When was Ron Paul was talking about that shit?
But
20 plus years. That's 2 decades. You think we could survive 2 more decades of this
and
bullshit?
not unless of the current stature, the current state of affairs. No, we don't have another 8 years. We don't have another 4 years, another 10 years.
Oh,
But I
done.
do believe the way things are changing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No,
I do
no,
believe the
no,
way
no,
things
no.
are changing, like we are on the right path. Like neither of you guys, Skaggs and Garrett, neither of you two are wrong. Like there's plenty of reason to be optimistic because culture is taking a hit. You know what I mean? Like, and this is going to be this is a make or break year.
We're winning
as far
this
as
thing,
I'm
boys.
concerned.
Like, don't
Yeah.
get it
Well, you're
twisted.
starting
It's not
100%.
about like, do we have 20 years left? It doesn't matter. In 20 years, we're gonna be sitting pretty, Super Bowl champs or whatever it is. We were on with we were on with Sean Chris, and he likes to end his shows with like, give me something positive. Everything's so fucking negative, right?
He unfollowed me
Did he really? That's
He unfollowed you?
and then blocked me.
Damn.
Are you sure it's because you're shadow banned?
He blocked me. I already checked.
Or he doesn't like you?
I sent him a message from my other account, and
I'll chat with
he
him.
didn't.
We'll see what's going on there.
He blocked me. He blocked my phone number and everything.
Damn.
That's because he doesn't like that you like Donald Trump.
Maybe he doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, he don't like Donald Trump.
That's fine.
Maybe
but
it's
I was just gonna say that like the way
Block somebody.
the hopeful thing I said at the end of the of his episode was like think about how many people are involved in this kind of like independent space. James, when you're here, we talked about like death by 1,000 cuts. That's the toothpaste can't be put back in the tube, no matter what. Like this is a huge force, and it's decentralized. Not everybody agrees on every single thing. That's fine. That's the way fucking life is supposed to be. But that thing can't be stopped. That's a freight train that ain't going away. And they're gonna have to literally fucking throw us all in a gulag and kill us all to get rid of us. And I don't foresee that happening. I'm way more optimistic than that.
This is a pretty good time. So Doom Nation, this is our first episode of 2024. I wanted to get people together because there's a lot of shit going on already. We've been recording for 20 minutes now, and we've touched upon so many possibilities and conspiracies. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. It could go anywhere. That's why I wanted to bring us together and get our a perspective or an idea of what we're predicting for 2024 to happen, to include.
It's an election year, right? I think that's that's going to be the
Election
major
year.
theme of it. Yeah.
So can I add something?
More
real quick?
riots, more pandemics. The dollar could fucking disintegrate at any moment. Fucking predictive programming for civil war, an actual civil war. war in Russia, war in Israel. China's gonna fucking jump on Taiwan. It's the perfect time to do it. We know that's coming. Aliens, it could be anything right now. You know, like we got to get some predictions. I don't know what's
Nothing's
gonna
off
happen
the
this
table.
year.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no,
James, go
literally,
ahead.
like when I say like aliens, like that's a
Yeah,
real.
it really is. Yeah, it really is fucking wild.
possibility.
It's wild to think about. That's in the mainstream narrative.
Yes.
So like
Now
back
think,
when we started this podcast,
yeah.
if we had said that, people would have literally been like, "You guys are fucking crazy."
Yeah.
And now they're
Yeah,
literally.
Me and James were saying it the whole time, and people
Yeah,
were
me
like,
and
"You
Garret
fucking
were like, what?
retards, you retards," and
Welcome
we were
to
like,
the party,
"Aliens are
boys."
coming, Project Bluebeam."
So I wanted to comment on the conversation that you and Garrett were having, Skaggs, because I think you're both right. I think you're both right. I think we won the war already. I think it's.
You've been saying that since I the first time we had you on since I met you, man.
I really do. I really think that we're just watching the fall of the old guard. We're watching, like, it has to be displayed for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And
Can't
for the
be
world,
told.
like,
It's got to be shown.
everybody has to see it themselves. They have to feel it themselves. Like everything that's happening with our economy, with the dollar, like it's really crazy to live through it. But at the end of it, when we see the finished product and we see that, maybe the Fed is collapsing and there is no more Fed, we can go back to it. We have an opportunity to go back to a gold back standard if we won this war. Because if we want to win this war, the Fed needs to be destroyed. Like, the Fed sucks. Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck the Fed.
We need people to understand that these people want to literally destroy our lives. They want us to be barely living, barely getting by. They want us in perpetual war. They want us to constantly be struggling and just subservient to the government. Like, here, take our money, give us free food, give us food stamps, give us everything that we need. That's literally what they want. People are seeing it for their own eyes. Like, if you
And they're buying poison too. The food stamp buys shitty food, and the shitty food is poison.
That's one of my favorite conspiracies that is becoming mainstream now. That people are realizing that there's so much poison in our food. Like, that's
I know.
whether it's you're a carnivore or non-processed or getting rid of seed oils. Like, people are going back to homesteading, to like getting chickens like that. Like, 5 years ago, if you told me I wanted to get chickens, like, nah, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
Now I'm looking up
a lot of
chicken coops
fucking
for the
work.
apartment.
I was spending all
Skaggs
fucking
gets
day.
them
I
in
was
the
spending
backyard.
all morning today prepping them for the fucking snow. I'm putting plastic panels on the side of the coop so the snow doesn't get in there. It's a lot of work, but it's rewarding.
I understand it. But like and I knew that they were feeding us poison, but like, the conveniences of everything, it makes it so easy. And I think that's what had so many people in the world feel that way. Like, it's just so convenient. It's so easy. So why not just do it? But now they're realizing that, like, that convenience is killing them. People are getting cancer, they're dying, and they're now trying to go, like, I'm in an HOA. I'm like, babe, we got to figure out how to get some fucking chickens out here. Like, we got to.
Yeah, good luck with that. There's a fucking 1,001 rules against any sort of animals at an HOA.
Yeah.
Dude, we have drones that fly over our shit. I want to shoot it down.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. So, if you told me even 5-10 years ago that this many people would be aware of what's going on, not just politically, but economically, with entertainment, with the pedophilia, with the Satanism, like,
I was gonna say, yeah, man, with the food, with spiritually, mentally, physically, politically, how many people are awake on so many fronts?
So I never thought in my wildest dreams that this many people would be aware of this and be this aware of everything that's going on and so in tune with the world. And there's still a lot of people that are, asleep with the wheel, no question.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I think the majority, at least the United States, is aware of what's going on with our government. There's still, 3% of the nation is still 10 million people. Like, it's still
It's always there's always going to be a percentage that will be lost forever.
Without a doubt. So, like, let's just say it's 25% of the nation. Like, we're still talking like a boatload of people that are fast asleep with the wheel, and we still have 75% of the nation that's aware of everything that's going on. And it may not be everything. It may just be one piece. It may just be the pharmaceutical. It may be the entertainment. It may be the financial. That you're aware of the fuckery, and you're now like, you don't trust the government. You don't trust what's going on.
That one thing is
don't
just
trust
enough
an
for 'em.
institution. Yeah.
Bingo. Bingo. So I think we won this war. I think we're just watching the dismantling of it. It crumble in front of our eyes because we can't, like, if Donald Trump came in his first 4 years, started dropping hammers and arresting everybody and dismantling the government and taking out the FBI and the CIA and doing all these things that we want to have done, everybody would lose their shit. Like, they'd be like, this guy's Hitler. Like, we need to, this can't
No way, man. They'd be like, he's the guy down in Argentina.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, weren't they protesting that he was like closing parts of the government?
Sure, of course. The bankers were protesting deregulation of the banking industry in Argentina. All right, so that should tell you all you need to know, that regulations prop up that crony banking system. Meanwhile, leftists will complain like, "Oh, we need more regulations." I mean, does it look like the banks want more regulations or less regulations? At least in the case study. That's why I've said before, like, that whole scenario down there, it's so valuable because you're getting an example of what's going to happen, what it's going to look like. It's a test case, of what does it look like when you actually do fucking eliminate 300,000 laws and fire 75% of the government and all that stuff. It's not going to be easy, but go ahead, James.
Oh, and in the United States, it's much different.
Oh yeah, much larger.
Much larger scale, and affects a lot more people. And so I really think that there is an opening for some major windfalls in the near future. But to Garrett's point, we don't have 20 years to do that. If Joe Biden gets in for another 4 years and continues to do, like, people aren't going to survive. Like I say all the time, I'm very nervous about the human element in this whole thing, because there's people that can't.
The bear's been poked.
Yeah, not just they have been poked, but it's survival soon. Like, soon it's going to turn into, like, I can't put food on my table. I can't turn on my heat. I got kids. I can't buy their medication. There's going to be a breaking point for human beings that are like, I can't do this anymore. I need to figure shit out. And they're going to start robbing people. It could get crazy. And you factor in what we'll get into in 2024 in our predictions, the things that are going to happen throughout this election year that could,
anger people more. Yeah. Trigger somebody.
Like, what if the cyber attack happens, which is now mainstream and something I've been talking about forever?
I know.
That does happen. How long are people going to go without electricity? 48 hours?
Yeah. Dude, there was a show. You can watch it on Disney Plus. I always tell people to watch it. It's called American Blackout. It's about what happens if America's grid goes off. We go off the grid and we lose power. And it follows several people. And dude, within like the first 24 hours, everybody's like, oh, it'll be back on tomorrow. 48 hours, it kind of sucks, but people are having like parties and barbecuing. After 72 hours, it's GTA meets The Purge, bro. And just, there's no more rules. The people who are stuck in the city, you live on the 25th, the 30th floor of some building. You don't got no supplies. You got to go up and down 30 flights of stairs. You're not in shape to do that. Fire breaks out. You're fucked. There's no fire department. Your mom's a nurse. She's stuck at the hospital. And it just shows all these different situations of what takes place and how you could get fucked over. Because we just lose power.
You're going to see when that type of stuff happens, you're going to see how many stupid people we've kept alive for a long time.
Or society has kept going, right?
Well, they're going to be
finding bodies for years to come.
This has been my point for a long time. And I might be in this category. I'm just throwing it out there. But we've literally made life so easy that natural selection hasn't been able to be happening throughout the years. So stupid people have been reproducing for such a long period of time. And we, the stronger people, have kept them safe because it's the right thing to do. And you're going to see very quickly how stupid people are left.
Things could revert so quickly back to that, right? Like to that primal way of being.
So we all went through Hurricane Sandy, right?
Yeah. I was in the Bronx
Everybody went through Hurricane Sandy. You were still in Jersey, right, James? Right. So, like, when I was up there, we lost power for 2 weeks. I think it was 16 days. We had no power. All right. The first 4 days, I couldn't even get out of my lake, out of my house, because there were so many trees. Like, we had to go out and cut ourselves out. And the town was just like, we can't get to you. Like, you're on your own. So the people just started grabbing chainsaws and doing what we had to do to get out.
Look how quick the government, you're on your own.
No, but that's what, and the mayor lived in our lake. So it was like, whoa, right? So it was fucking wild. But like you saw, you see a lot of crazy shit. Like we were seeing state troopers with AR-15s sitting outside gas stations on the gas lines, all that other shit.
Yep.
But you also saw a lot of good in humanity where like your
For sure.
boys were doing anything. It is a short amount of time, but you can see that. That's why like it's scary and interesting to see once it goes past. Because I literally said, I'm like, another fucking 7 days of this, like people would have been shooting each other outside. They definitely would have been. Like, I mean, like I know, like I was carrying a gun with me just because I'm like, people have guns at gas stations right now, especially in Jersey, and they're fucking fighting each other over fuel to put into their family's house.
I think in that scenario it depends because there's still the hope of, well, this is just, the tri-state area is going through this, right? Like that people have that context. But what we're talking about is like
you could get in your car and drive to another
in that scenario. So I'm saying, like
in
that scenario, I don't even think it's 7 days people will be shooting each other because people, well, like in California, everything's fine and they could come help us if anything. But I think the context that we're talking about here is like global.
California's gonna come help us. They can't even help
at
themselves.
the time with Hurricane Sandy. At the time of Hurricane Sandy, what we're talking about here is national, global. A solar flare wipes out all technology. Forever, you know what I mean? And we're all back to the fucking dark ages, stone ages. Then hope is immediately erased for most people. So they won't like cling on to that hope of society kind of like rebuilding itself or something like that.
I think there's layers to what could happen though, because, I think technologically we're advanced enough that if they wanted to shut off everything, they could shut off everything. But if let's just say they just shut off the internet. They shut down the internet, and I think does
texting is texting and cell phones include cell phone usage?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Cell phone usage, like things like that. Like we have no internet and we have no cell phones.
So like no communication.
Huge shit moment. Huge shit
moment. Walkie talkies, motherfuckers.
No question. Moment. I think about this regularly because I live on the other side of the country as my family is on the other side, and I have to think about my mother and my father. Like, the fuck are they gonna do? Like, my brother and sister aren't gonna do shit.
I hate to tell you, bro, you're never seeing them again.
No, dude, I have terrible anxiety because I literally like I'm like, man, like if this shit fucking happens, like,
yeah, you might not see any.
I got two boys. I had 3 of my friends that live within 2 blocks from me. I know at least I got that, but like anything outside of that, you're on the other side of the country. My parents are 40 minutes away. That might be too, you know what I'm saying? Like if it's really that bad, Skaggs' mother's what, 75 miles away from you, dude?
Yeah.
Like
so if the internet and cell phone goes down, then all of a sudden what are they going to be able to do? Because I think a big issue that they're facing right now is they have no control over the narrative. Nobody listens to them. Nobody pays attention to what they have to say. No more
cameras, no more spreading rumors.
No, but not just that. Like we talk about all the time, internet was something that they created with LifeLog to monitor us, but it got away from them. They never thought that we'd be so resourceful and figure out how to communicate and share information all over the world at record speeds. If there is no internet, there is no cell phone, we're not able to share. If there's no social media, we're not able to share the information as quickly as we possibly can.
They get to work in the shadows.
I mean, we could even use just
but they also get to supply you your only information.
That bingo. So all of a sudden they're sending in their emergency broadcast and it's fucking Rachel Maddow and Humpty Dumpty.
They could also commit atrocities, right? Like we could use literally the war going on right now, Israel and Gaza. When Israel rolled into Gaza, they shut down the internet in Gaza, like in that entire region, right? Why did they do that? Because, well, number one, they don't want anybody kind of knowing they're coming. Number two, they could kind of do whatever the fuck they want. And as long as you have a strict order on your soldiers, not to, take any videos or anything like that, like you could do anything you want in that, couple hours where the internet's down and it can't be recorded and posted to social media so no one could see it, right? So this isn't fucking this isn't crazy outside the realm of possibility what we're talking about. This shit happens in
Vietnam.
Right, yes, exactly. Right.
1,000%. And
and what they were showing you at home as to per se what was really going on, because
I know
they had war correspondents that they put there.
Curating everything.
The CIA put them there, yeah.
How many veterans
I know for a fact that soldiers in Vietnam burned down small hut villages just because they were there. Did not matter. They were no threat. There was no military action, but because you had structures and a way of life in the middle of the jungle, the U.S. military showed up
Scorched
and burnt
earth.
it to the ground.
Yeah.
Burnt it to the
We're the
ground.
good guys,
Salted the earth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I think I tend to agree with George Patton that we fought for the wrong side.
Yeah, man. I'm. That's a good segue into what I was gonna say. We're so dark, and I'm way more optimistic. Fought for the wrong side. There's no reference to the Soviet Union and that whole thing. But I'm reading right now. So James, you're a student of history as well. I know you know your shit. So I look at history as an example, or like a white pill, is why I'm more optimistic about the future. And I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm deep in my research and reading shit about the Soviet Union. Like, this has happened before. Like, the Soviet Union was this evil empire that we're all terrified of. Yeah, that whole thing, man. I'm reading right now Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago. We're all terrified of them sending us off to Gulag. That shit already fucking happened. They built a gulag system with trains and fucking ferries, and the trains themselves are rolling gulags, and everyone got a turn in the gulag, right? It was part of the system. Like, literally, it was like, we build shit by literally sending everyone to prison, and we get free labor that way. That's kind of the whole motto. And it didn't work. It fell apart, right? Russia's not like that anymore. It's not perfect, right? But it's way fucking better than that was back in the day. And it got to the point where...
I mean, who has the highest incarceration in the world?
America does, baby. But we're not at the level yet where we have a full gulag system that literally people are being shit. Yeah, definitely. Again, keep in mind, keep the perspective. What I'm trying to tell you is keep the perspective that has happened before. We're not at that level yet. I'm trying to give the white pill here. We're not at that level yet. It has happened before.
There's not actual
it
gulag
fell apart
yet.
And at the end, it was so pathetic that people just fucking laughed it off. I've mentioned this 1,000 times on our podcast. Towards the end of the Soviet Union, people just laughed. People thought it was a joke. Like anything that the government radio said or the news channel, people were like, "The fuck out of here." It was a pathetic joke. That's the way think of it now. The white pill, the way all of us look at January 6th and the way that they portray it, right? It's similar to the way that Soviet citizens used to look at their government back in the day. They laugh at all day today, Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden making this thing about terrorism, whatever. We're all sitting here like, get the fuck out of here. Making it a
link
joke.
your point and James's point. James says we shut down the internet, no cell phones. Now they have the only line of communication. I have a funny feeling that when that line of communication comes through, 85% of America are going to laugh it off, just like Skaggs is talking about. There's zero chance that the four of us are going to believe it. There's zero chance that the tens and dozens of people that listen to our shows are going to believe it. So, it's going to grow from there. And I have a funny feeling like it'll still be futile. Like you'll kind of base yourself in a community. But
so I got a question for James, because I know he's well versed in the Q stuff. And, we're talking about the EBS basically, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes and no.
But that's what I'm saying. So if they do shut it down, is the possibility of the EBS being somebody else?
That's always a fun one to fantasize
but I'm just
about.
saying, like, knocky motherfuckers were in control, like that type of deal.
That's a great one to fantasize about, but you got to understand there's going to be a portion of the. So if that's something like, well, let's just think outward here. I know we're talking about like Q and like someone else being in charge after the power goes down, but like there's to do this seamlessly and not hurt that percentage of the population that isn't going to buy this. You know what I mean? The people that are lost forever, it has to be at its lowest percentage. And you don't want to end up with like bloodshed. So you kind of got to take away a little bit of the element of surprise. Because if the power goes down and like, let's just say like Donald Trump is now in charge of the emergency broadcasting system, there is a section of this population that is going to go ballistic.
I listen,
but that's what I'm just making, to get.
Yeah, no. I get it. We're just spitballing here,
Thinking
boys.
out loud.
But But
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And I'm not even saying 19, not saying even that's in
I think
control.
that'd be pretty
And what you
dangerous.
said though is like without bloodshed, everything. But every revolution,
Has been bloody.
every single turning of the guard in our history, there's going to be something.
That's not necessarily
That's
true.
why-
Again, I'll point
but-
back to the
but
Soviet
also-
Union.
but
I'll-
also, hold
Everybody's
on.
okay.
That's what the predictive programming for the Civil War. The Civil War
Sure,
movies
but
coming out.
they're gonna
and now
want it to
everyone's
be.
talking about it.
Yeah.
And
That's what they
now we're
want.
going
Right.
in, you know,
Who made
Right.
that's
who
a
made-
that's a
who made that
possibility
movie?
for 2024.
Eight-
Well, that's
eight-
what they want.
Who
Eight-
made that movie?
That's exactly what they
824.
want. And Skaggs, I think you make a very good point bringing, because it is the same exact playbook. But to that point, they took that playbook and used it, but also changed it a little bit.
Of course.
I think Garrett, what he added to that point is very good, that we are the most imprisoned population in the world. And I truly think that our gulags today is the 9 to 5 rat race. It is like sitting in the cubicle, you know, just getting shit done, just literally barely survive. And you know, if Donald Trump didn't get in those 4 years and we had Hillary for 4 years, there would have been no transition of like, oh, shit can be good for a second. Like,
Yeah.
America can be good. Like, I can make a living. I can have some money in my pocket. It would have been like, oh shit, like $5 gas, $7 gas, $10 gas. We'd probably be at war right now. We probably would have lost that war if Hillary had won that 2016 election. But because we saw for that short period of time that like, yo, shit could be good here again. Like, wow. That
And
gave,
it only takes somebody trying to push.
You're
belt,
right.
yeah.
You know,
that gives people some hope.
yeah. Of course.
So I think the new gulag is the 9 to 5. Like, I think that they figured out that we can't just take human beings and throw them and force them to work, make them think that they're actually, because they're
Work
so,
is definitely a scam. Yeah.
they're so good at human psychology. Their social engineering programs are so good. They're so on point, and they get people like, I used to get mad at people that they didn't see what was going on because it's so blatantly obvious. I'm like, how do you not see it? And I realized, I was like, man, trillions of dollars have been spent on training these people, teaching these people to think this way and not question what's going on.
COVID was a great example.
Oh yeah, and the 9 to 5 is a great example of an open air prison for
So-
like 90% of the
Yes.
population.
Or how about the taxation system? Scott Horton has this great analogy where he said, let's say that you know, the United States lost the Cold War and the Soviet Union invaded the United States and took over, and they institute the USSR IRS. And they tell all American citizens it is now a fine for you to be productive. And your fine is that you have to, you know, pay, 45% of all of your income to the Soviet Union. You've automatically incriminated yourself, right? Like you don't get to, appeal or anything like that. You're all guilty. And that's just the way it goes. Now, imagine had that happened, Americans would have been up in arms, like, get the fuck out of here, like this, we're not going to take this from the Soviet Union. And his point is like, well, yeah, but that's literally what's happening right now from our own government, but people just don't see it that way because it's not, the hammer and sickle. It's not the hammer and sickle being raised over our, soil here.
It's your job as being a part of society to do good, to help out.
The social contract. Yes, right.
Yeah. That's literally what my father used to tell me. I'm like, Dad, why are we paying like 48% in taxes in New Jersey? This is fucking ridiculous. Like
taxes
Why
are
you
the
still
price
putting up
we
with
pay
it?
for to be a member of civil
living
society.
in a civil society.
And people really
People don't
do think that, man. Garrett, remember we did the social construct episode with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I mean, look, this guy
that was one of the ones that
this
got
shit.
us pulled.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he believes it like religion, deeply believes in
that.
it. Yeah.
That's what my father believes. My father's old school Italian conservative, and that's what my father believes. It's your job being part of society.
With that, I mean, comes the most easiest, just counter rebuttals you could give people for that. With that episode we were talking about, we could just be like, well, yeah, like where's the actual contract though? You're talking about a contract that we signed. I didn't sign any fucking contract. When I was born, did I sign it? I couldn't consent yet. Like, there's no actual contract. But they speak of it as if it's a literal paper that you signed at some point in your life, and you're now beholden to that forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I explained it to somebody like, not like we didn't bring up like a social contract, but like they were talking about how like as a nation, we need to just agree on stuff going forward, blah, blah. And I was like, no, because no matter what the topic is, and I might agree with the topic, there are going to be people who disagree no matter what. You know, you take the mask thing, and it was the social contract is to wear the mask so we could save each other's grandmas. And we all agreed on the social contract to wear the masks. No,
we didn't.
No, we didn't. I didn't. None of us here did it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but I didn't sign nothing. Nobody's got a gun to my head. It ain't going to cost me money to not wear a mask. Yeah.
When someone like that says we should agree on things,
I look at them and I go, "Fuck your grandma."
Cap, when someone like that tells you we should agree on things as society, what they mean is that we should have men with guns force you to do what I want you to do. Right? Like, we can't agree 100%. On things voluntarily. We could have a voluntarious society, right? That's what anarchism in a sense is. You know, where everyone chooses to participate in the thing. Right. But that's not what people mean when they say, like, yeah, we need to have an agreement on something. No, they mean, like, you're going to do what I say, and if you don't do it, I'm going to throw you in a cage. A man with a gun is going to come and take you away, and whatnot. That's what they mean by
that. They think it's going to work. Like, you didn't wear your mask, you're killing grandmas. How dare you? Right, but like, socially, in a social contract, we all agree that murder is bad, and nobody should murder anyone. And people get murdered every fucking day. Somebody's getting murdered now. You know what I mean? Like, and you're outraged that I don't want to wear a mask or fly a Ukrainian flag or some shit. But like, our social contract for murder doesn't even stands up.
It's a social construct, not a social contract. It's something people made up and they believe in. It's not a real fucking thing.
And that goes exactly to my point on social engineering. They've brainwashed us, and they've brainwashed people to believe certain things and act a certain way. And this is why it's been so hard to wake people up and get them to see the evil that's right in front of them, because they're like, no, the government would never, like, they would never do that. They always think our best interest.
The good thing about that, though, now is the good thing about that. Like, I operate with a different group of people now. I've met a lot of new people over the past 6 months, and a lot of different different strokes for different folks, type of people. But like, it's come to my attention now that, like, even the most liberal, fuck Donald Trump, blah, 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 people are like, yeah, like there's nobody I've met anymore that believes the government is batting 1,000 and telling the truth.
It's the Overton window has shifted.
Yeah. Everybody I come in contact with now at least believes in like one conspiracy. They might not think the election was rigged, but they're like, Jeffrey Epstein, what's the deal with Bitcoin? Like, Joe Biden is a train wreck. So at least they're like open to a few things.
But if one thing's opening up, that means the other things. Well, like, if they start opening, we're on the right path. Yeah. But that's the whole thing. Like, if they start opening up to one of them, then they can fall down the rabbit hole like the rest of us did, because we're like, yo, this domino hits this domino. And like, I know me and James personally have 1,000 times screamed like crazy people, like, what don't you get? Their uncle works for their cousin, and that one's in that department, and that one's their judge.
His nephew's the CEO.
Like Tom Pritzker, his wife was the Secretary of Commerce for Obama. What job does the Secretary of Commerce do? Oh, in charge of all the ins and outs of the country. Oh, okay. Well, what comes ins and out of the country? Ships and containers? Oh!
But he was in the Epstein, right? Who you're referring to, Pritzker, right? He was,
his wife was the secretary. What better job to have than have the Secretary of Commerce watching over everything that's coming in and out, and
the ports and everything else.
Had 2 containers full of kids. Oh, we didn't see that.
Sure. So
fell through the cracks.
Yeah, that's a great point to point out. That's a great, but I could even make the more fundamental point. Why the fuck is there a Secretary of the Commerce? Is this the Soviet Union again, right? Like, why does the government have a guy who's in charge of the economy? We're supposed to be a capitalist free market nation. That's what you guys are always saying, right? But we have a guy who's in charge of the central office who determines what goes where. What the fuck is that? That sounds like communism to me, right?
Bingo. It does. You're absolutely right, Skaggs. Really is.
To Captain's point, you're 100% right. And even my father, who I was talking about earlier, he's come around, and I think it's because it's directly affected him, because I called him up and told him that the FBI is asking questions about me. He's like, why? Did you do anything wrong? I'm like, no, Dad. I'm
the motherfucking man, Dad.
Back on the government. But like when I was 19, the conversation that I was having with my father earlier, I was telling you about, I was 19 years old having this conversation. It was when Facebook was just becoming a thing. And I was shit posting on the internet like I've been doing since the dawn of social media. And my father sat me down. He's like, James, he's like, listen, you can't be talking about politics or money or religion. He's one of those old school, you don't talk about stuff. And I'm like, Dad, like, why can't I question the fact that we're being taxed at a 48% clip when taxes are supposed to only be a wartime tax for the top wealthy 1%? Meanwhile, we're getting taxed for like, why? Like, and he's like, well, it's part of society. And I was like, I literally said this to him when I was
That's
19.
one of those social contracts, right? Religion, politics,
when I was
and everything
19 years
else.
old, we're going back 16 years. I told my father, I said, Dad, there's going to be a time where the government is going to try to force vaccinate us. They're going to try to send us to FEMA camps. And at that point, I'm going to get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, I'm going to go get rid of all of my cell phones, anything technological, and live in the jungle of Costa Rica and live off the land. I was like, you can come with me at that point, but I'm out. Like, I'm not sticking around. This is well before I thought there was any hope whatsoever. And I tell my father this. So my dad, I call him up. I'm like, hey, Dad, I got to tell you, my buddy got a visit from the FBI because he went to January 6th. He didn't do anything. He flew over there from California by himself, young kid, and he didn't even go in the Capitol. He got a visit on January 3rd of last year of 2023. So it's been a little over a year since he got the visit. And they sat him down, asked about his day, everything that he's doing. And after they asked him about his day, they pulled out two photos. One of my mugshot when I got arrested when I was 21, and one of some other guy that we haven't figured out who it is yet. But he's like, do you know these guys? Asking about.
Fantastic.
I was in Las Vegas on January 6th, 2021. I was in Las Vegas. I wouldn't get on a plane because of your fucking mask rule. Now, if there wasn't a mask rule, I probably would have been there because I knew a lot of people that went. I probably would have went. If I couldn't wear a mask, I probably would have went in protest.
Mask saved your life.
So here we're on the topic, right? It was obviously the honeypot operation, right? Do you think you would have been like, put yourself in your shoes on that? Now, don't take what you know now about the whole thing. Put yourself back in that day without knowing. Do you think you would have got like sucked in with everybody else?
Do you think you would have went in?
No, because it depends. It depends on where I was. Like, it depends on who I was with. Because like, I would have been with, guys like Garret, have been with, Nick. I would have been with guys who didn't get called. Like, they were all trying to call me to find out what was going on. Like, everybody was trying to get on the phone with me because I was watching it on TV. And there was no service. They couldn't get through. Like, it was very difficult to talk to any of them.
They blocked all their cell phones. They turned them all off.
It was very difficult to talk to any of them. And they were calling me to ask what was going on. So it really depends on where I was in the crowd. If I had gone in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
if you were over by Trump, you would have been far away from.
I would have been by Trump. That's exactly where I would have been. I would have went to go see Trump speak, and I would have been walking. Like, I wouldn't have been anywhere near close enough to get to the Capitol.
Yeah, it's just interesting to to put yourself in the shoes if you actually had been there. I do know people who were there.
I remember watching it. Yeah. I remember watching it and saying, "Holy shit, they're storming the Capitol!" Like, holy shit, like, what the fuck is going on? Like
I was,
cheering it on. Like, holy crap! Then I'm watching it, and these guys are walking.
And the reality sets in.
No, but I'm watching it. They're walking through the velvet ropes, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, they're not
doing why you cheered for it. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the insurrection they make it out to be. Yeah. Right.
You know what sold me on like the insurrection was that people were breaking the windows of the Capitol building. So there's just plain regular glass on the building that houses Congress.
Yeah, that was we did a live episode that day, and that was the first thing we said. It's like, this doesn't look right. How the fuck is there not a red button in some command center at the Capitol building that locks the place down?
Yeah, shuts
and they don't have
down,
any sort of like tempered glass
like
that
metal thing slides
down. And I mean, they don't have. They just have normal fucking windows. Yeah.
Or do you mean the 1-ton door that can only open from the inside? That somehow magically got open.
It's just but I remember cheering it on, and then I remember we started recording, and then like reality set in, and I was like, oh, there's gonna be backlash.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. You fucking go after the regime like that, they're gonna come after you.
But that's the thing. No one did any
right.
The FBI did it.
Yeah, like you said before, people were walking within the fucking, the velvet ropes, You know, the
Yeah,
worst
so
thing that
what?
happened was the lectern guy literally took a lectern and walked out with it. And then you actually get to know that
We
guy.
had
He's the
him
nicest,
on.
the nicest fucking guy
he's
ever.
the nicest
Yeah.
guy ever. We had him on our podcast.
And what's his name? Put his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's
Yeah.
desk.
Yeah.
Rumors said someone took a shit on her desk.
I hope
Hey,
so.
why not? I would have.
I hope that's true.
All right.
But
Good.
no,
Let's
I called my
let's
father,
get
I'm
into
like,
this.
I said,
Oh, go
"Dad,"
ahead.
I said, why? They're asking questions about me. He's like, I don't know if this is a country that I want to live in. Like, I don't know if this is really America. And like, it was very surprising to hear from my father because it's just one of those old school. Like, the government would never do anything bad to you ever.
I thought
like,
this
they-
was America. Yeah.
You know what? You know what shocked my family at Christmas? We got into a little political conversation, and Skaggs, we had Zach on right before we went on to Christmas.
Mine went
Young
exactly
Fit
how I
Statesman.
predicted.
And you know, I knew people were going to ask me, and we were going to start talking about politics and all this shit. Blah, blah, blah. The biggest shock to my family was like, Ron DeSantis is a plant. Ron DeSantis is not the guy you think he is. And one of my cousins was like, they told us he was, and I was like, that's the problem. They told you. You just agreed. You just said out loud, they told us he was a good guy. You listened to they, and you never asked who they was.
Who's
We
there?
don't want to get into that one, do we?
We can, man. We can,
No.
but we can do that. Let's do that after. There's definitely some stuff we can get into on that front.
Yeah.
But let's
Dives
get.
right into the bullshit. Revolution.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Dives
do,
right into it.
let's do our predictions because then after that, I want to get stoned and whatnot. It's a party here tonight. So.
We already started. I'm gonna have to cut out these eventually.
Let me do my predictions
Sure.
first because I actually
right.
was supposed to get off like 15 minutes ago because
All
I've
right,
been
go ahead.
traveling and all that other stuff.
All right, Doom Nation, Garrett, the Samurai's 2024 prediction.
Okay, so my prediction is this is the year that we are going to at some point reach the boiling point, let's say, and something is going to have to either make or break us. We're like we said, Skaggs was saying earlier, it's a lot of like holding receipts just in the first 6 days of January. It's like receipt after receipt of year after year of us screaming from the rooftops at people that this is happening. My optimistic view is it reaches the boiling point. We come together and things start switching around. My optimistic view is I would say like we're all going to be living in caves by the end of the year. So that's kind of where I'm at on this one. They've been putting aliens at us. Like we didn't even get into Miami yet.
Which I know nothing about too.
Which is wild. But they're throwing Project Bluebeam at us. They're throwing everything at us, and it's not going to stop. And I say it all the time, like they're at the fucking moment in the fight where they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you, and it's not knocking you out. What do we do?
It's the death roll.
Yeah, it's insane. So I don't know. I think we're going to have to go through the suck a lot more for more people to wake up, which is the shitty part. But my optimist view is like just even traveling and going to places and talking to random people over the past weekend, like just random people, you could tell a lot more people are awake to the bullshit than you thought were.
Yeah,
Said that before.
That's the white pill.
Yeah, no, that's what I was agreeing with you because the amount of people, like even like when I've been on the airplanes or this or in different parts of the country and everything, within almost 7 minutes, you're literally talking about like, did you see this bullshit? Oh, and then it goes into like, well, did you know about that? I went into a barbershop the other day. Somebody was like, oh, the Epstein, boom. These two guys were as well versed as any one of us on what was going on with that thing, how it was coming into there. And it's like you wouldn't hear that talk like a year or two ago.
I have talks like that in the sauna every day.
Tim
I know
Pool,
it's crazy, right?
I had people talking to me about aliens in the sauna the other day. Tim Pool had a great line. He's like, things are changing. He's like, we got the word retard back.
Yeah,
we could just say that again and not be
retard.
Yep. Let me go next. I want to piggyback off of what Garrett was saying. So Garrett, you said that this is going to be the year kind of I told you so, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that come out that we're going to be able to hold up and be like, yeah, look, here's like the literal evidence of what we've been saying the past however many years. I think the regime is going to finally become aware of that or self-aware and appreciate that. And I think they're going to back off because if they keep going the way they're going, the trajectory they're going to reach the point where they lose, which is what we're all saying here, right? So my guess is my prediction is that they will finally appreciate what is happening and they will back off and Trump will actually win the election. And what they'll do is they'll just look to do what they'll do is they'll just look to do what they did the first time, which is tie him up, waste his time, some sort of investigation. My guess, I was thinking something along the lines of, how when someone becomes president, you then, most of the time, all the cabinet positions like resign, and then you get to pick your own guys. My guess is that they just won't, right? Like everyone who's in there now won't resign, and he'll have to like literally fire them all, and then they'll tie him up with like 1,000 lawsuits. Like, oh, you unfairly fired me or some shit. And there's so many people who are just stupid and they'll forget. That's what happens every time a new president comes in. He brings his new staff in, and they'll just get him tied up, and they'll try to do it that way. Like they'll finally become aware of the fact that they were getting too close to the boiling point, and they'll try something different. That's my prediction. It's not what I want to happen anyway. That's just my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's gonna get really fucking
James,
wild.
this is a short prediction, not a 20-minute prediction. Go.
I want James's whole prediction.
Well, all right. Hang on. So Garrett, you got to bounce in a minute here. I'm down to go as long as possible tonight. I got nothing else.
Yeah, let
to do,
Cap go first, and then I'll sign off for James because I see his face, and I've known this motherfucker long enough. I'm like 12:35, 12:30.
Expect me to give you what I think is going to happen in 2024 with all of the scenarios that are on the table.
It's not going to be a short-winded answer.
At some point, I'm just going to get up and go eat dinner and. I'll come back whenever, but yeah,
that's funny.
So you guys want my prediction? I don't have a prediction. It's so like I've been trying to formulate one because everything like my position on this. I've played on all the playing fields. I've been analytical with it. I've been conspiratorial with it. I'll believe in Q. I'll believe in. I learn a lot from the libertarian side and stuff like that. So there's just so much on the table. One of my new big conspiracies is I think Trump might be setting up his own establishment, his own empire within. Vivek keeps saying Biden and Trump are going to get nowhere near the White House. What if Trump, who's a big kingmaker, he loves picking the next king, got an inside guy in the race, Vivek. Trump gets taken off all the ballots. Trump gets indicted, this, that, and the next. So now it comes down Vivek and DeSantis. Vivek wins. Vivek wants Donnie as his VP and just, bows out and lets Trump be the VP. What if Trump is playing their game, getting an inside guy, being corrupt and maneuvering pieces around for his own benefits? I think financially things are going to get horrendous. I think the housing market might crash. I'm hoping it crashes so then I could try and afford someplace. Like, oh, look at that nice sexy nug. Nuggoweed. I really think I really think wars are going to escalate going into the election. Biden needs that. And they're all excited over Israel. Alex Jones is talking about an escalated war with Russia. And I think he's coming back swinging. I really don't see China not invading Taiwan to cause another issue. Like, I really feel we're on the precipice of a potential World War III, nuclear attacks. I'll go far out to say is like, if we are correct and things start to crumble and the Epstein case really starts to snowball and people really start to wake up, we will get that quote unquote 10 days of darkness. They'll shut the power off to save their own asses. I don't disagree that there's no length that they won't fucking go to preserve their narrative.
Now, real quick before I get out of here, because you actually mentioned something. Do any of you think that when you're talking about wars and with all the illegal immigration and all the people, all the military age men being shipped all over our country to strategic points, bus, plane, everything at night, do you guys think we will see it on our own soil?
Potentially. I think more of the immigration crisis as obviously the establishment believes the Democratic nominee is going to win, and there's no way it's going to be Trump. And if DeSantis gets in, it's their nominee anyway. So they are hedging their bets that their guy is going to be in the White House in 2024. But we don't have another 4 years of this. This is how we started the show, talking about that. I feel all the immigrants of the military age fighting men coming in are for either A, red flag events, or B, by the time the 2028 election comes around, things are going to be so bad. The only way they get any votes is by the millions and millions of illegals that came in. They're going to let illegal immigrants start voting. And when we try to protest that, we're protesting against all military aged men. They now have the Second Amendment right. They fight back, and they're the champions. You know what I'm saying? I could see like they're arming and strengthening their future voting base to fight off the right-wing extremists.
I don't think so. I think that if there is going to be fighting here, it's going to be between Americans. The migrants are like a long-term play at changing the demographics. So
I agree with you there.
You know what I mean? But I don't see them like they're going to be having to just travel.
I
around.
don't see them marching down the street.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Like
I'm not saying that.
They're going to be like, what the
them,
fuck is going on?
Yeah. If we march against them, they're plenty capable of fighting back.
Are they though? I don't know. You've seen some of these guys; they're fucking decrepit mutants.
Yeah.
That are coming from Sudan
pay,
and shit.
I would pay.
Yeah,
like I'm not a big guy. Look like I could snap their
around
legs.
Walmart.
What's that?
Did you see how many people that walk like
the fat cows?
fucking retards that walk around Walmart and everywhere else?
Yes.
I'm so glad we got a word back, boys.
I know.
Let's
I
all
love it.
say
It's one of my favorite
retard.
words. Say it all the time. James, hold on real quick, James. Love you, buddy. I'm going to be signing off, so I know I will listen to your answer tomorrow, but I have about 98% of it in my head. So,
Skaggs, what's the timestamp so Garret could just speed up to this point?
All right, perfect.
Now
I will see you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me hop on with you. It was good to see everybody. I haven't seen you guys in like weeks now. It feels like weeks.
It's been the holidays, and I know you've been busy, my friend.
Yep. So I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Get fucked, James.
Get fucked.
Later.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That fucking egg
go
samurai.
Baldy Magoo.
He was saying he went to the barber for what?
Ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready, settle in. I hope all the hair stays in your head after this nuclear explosion goes off.
I'm kind of like you. I don't really have a prediction because there's
so much on the table, right?
So much on the table to grab from, and it could be one of many, or if not multiple, of these things playing out.
So one other thing for you. So we both agree, and we both see that there's so many options, so many paths to go down.
I'm lighting up
for a mass. Go for it, for a mass population awakening, right?
It's already
happened.
That's how. Right? No, I understand that. But that's the way it has to be to take down the establishment. To take down we can't just have one plan. We got to have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We got to have 100 different plans, and that's why we might be grabbing at so many threads of different plans because there's multiple paths to victory.
Let's fast forward a little bit because I'm loading my blunt with some keef because I got a nice big jar.
That kind of night,
dude. I gotta show you the shit. I mean, you're not gonna be able to appreciate it. I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah, bro.
But for Christmas, my buddy got me. This is a keef joint with an electric tip. It's got a core of live rosin and a hash donut at the top. And
so if it's got the hash donut at the top, make sure when you're holding it, hold it up so the wax on the blunt.
Well, and that's why there's an electric filter here because there's live rosin through the center of it as well.
You enjoy that.
And dude, I don't have enough PTO to smoke this and enjoy it.
You'll survive.
Yeah, no, I will. Well, I'm a champion.
I just did a fat dab before the show. Fat fucking dab. But there's so much that we could talk about, and I want to fast forward.
Go ahead.
And work our way backwards because I think people need to understand, because you made a great point, Cap, that everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. They will stop at nothing to prevent from losing.
I think we'll go dark before they lose.
So, and you can see what they're doing right now. They're doing everything that they possibly can to stop Donald Trump from winning, or even being on the ballot so he can get elected. They're doing everything that they possibly can. They're throwing anything at the wall, hoping nothing is working, but they're praying and they're running out of options. Their next big talking point that Donald Trump is Hitler. That's their big.
Big. Never tried that one before.
Yeah,
no, exactly. They're running out of options. It's exactly my point.
he already ran the country once, but this time it's going to be more like Hitler. Okay.
Mainstream pundits like Tucker Carlson talking about their only option is to assassinate Donald Trump. Like people are openly talking about this prospect, and this possibility. So nothing is off the table. And if Donald Trump gets into office, I think this is why nothing is off the table, because the precedent has now been set. Donald Trump, like I said earlier, in his first 4 years, if he came and dropped the hammer, started arresting people, people wouldn't understand. It wouldn't be able to handle it. It would cause mass chaos. Americans would be fighting Americans. It'd be needless casualties for no reason. Now people understand. And not only that, people are at the point where they're like, nothing's going to happen to these people. Like, that's what we're hearing about all these Epstein files, the things that are coming out. Nothing's going to happen to these people. Everybody's saying it. And I'm fine with that, because if something does happen, they're going to be excited. They're going to be cheering. They'll probably be even the people that are like, I knew it the whole time. I was telling everybody they're going to be held accountable. Like, they're going to be one of those people really, really fucking quick. You're going to go from doomers to I was right. But the precedent is being set right now in front of our face. Now, Donald Trump wouldn't be the first person to arrest a political opponent and indict a political opponent. He wouldn't be the first person to do it, because they're doing it to him. They're doing everything that we want to happen to them to him. And it's straight out of Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals.
Yes.
It's literally straight out of their handbook.
Yes.
And they're doing everything that they're guilty of to him. And now when he gets in office, if he does it back to them, it's not going to be some crazy outlandish thing that people are going to lose their minds. And guess what? This time he's got all of the evidence. He has everything. He's got, like, we can do a whole show of all of the evidence of all of the illegal, corrupt shit that these people are involved in, and
probably be a 3-part episode.
Yeah, I agree. They will have all the evidence. I also think that the temperature will be, most people will just be like, I didn't need to see the evidence. They deserved it.
100%.
That's best case scenario.
I do think that's
case scenario.
Yeah, sure, okay.
And if he did that his first 4 years, no one be saying that. Everybody be like, yo, this guy's a dictator. This guy's crazy. It wouldn't work the way it would work now. And now everybody sees what these people truly want to do to us. Like, I think Donald Trump's going to get 30% of the black vote. So when I say nothing is off the table, like, I literally mean nothing. Like, they will try to shut down the government. They will try to catapult us into a world war. They will try to shut down internet. They will try to shut down electricity, EMPs, whatever it may be that they can prevent the election from even happening. If it gets to that point, they will try to do. And I think it could be, again, another backfire thing, because what if they do shut down, do an EMP? What if they do a full-blown EMP? People forget that Starlink exists now.
Mm-hmm.
Elon is working with Donald Trump and says, hey, we'll get this shit back up real quick. Now the military has
that's a little bit of the conspiracy, no?
Now the military has to come in, and they have to do a hand count ballot with the military watching, because there's no internet. We can't hook up to the Dominion servers. We still got to have the election. Now the military comes in, we do a hand counted ballot, and we have a true election like we're supposed to, and it backfires bigly on them. Like, everything they've ever done, everything that they have tried to do has backfired bigly. Now, I don't think any of those things are out of the realm of possibility. Like, I truly think that they want war. I think that they want us to fight each other. Like, they are trying to poke the bear any way they possibly can by taking Donald Trump off the ballot, by doing all of these things that they're doing. They're trying to, like, hey, push us off a cliff.
So, yeah, I agree with you there 100%, right? Like, when you see the Colorado case, how as soon as they, do this thing where they basically kick him off the ballot, literally everyone knows, like, it's not going to work, right? Like, everyone, right? But I see it as like, they knew that.
I
too,
even
right?
know people who still hate Trump, and when that came out, they were like, Yeah, no,
So
this ain't like they even were like from day one.
So
like,
so
not
like
gonna
I
work.
look at that and I'm like, they knew that, right? Like
Yep.
so why did they do that? I try and I think about it. I'm like, yeah, it's because they're just doing things to try and piss you off constantly to poke the bear. Maine is
If they
another
don't have-
example. Over and over, they're trying to get that reaction, that violent reaction. This is my guess as to what they're doing with things like that. They're trying to get that violent reaction out of people because then they could drop the jackboot on everybody if that does happen.
Well, think about it. I mean, if we're fighting each other and we're at a war with each other, the UN can come in. Foreign nations could come in and take advantage because our one advantage that we have against other nations is that if you try to invade us, you're not going to get past New York or New Jersey or California. Like you're going to get past those states and then you're fucked because you're behind every blade of grass. Those states are pretty much dead, but everybody else is going to fuck you up. Like you're done. Like no one's invading the United States, but now that advantage is gone because we're fighting each other. The good old boys in the mountains are out there taking out some fucking
Right,
government.
Like the movie, right? With that scene where it's like, yeah, he's like, we're Americans. So, well, what kind of American are you?
So I think that they are trying to put anything that they possibly can together to prevent this election from happening or prevent Donald Trump from winning because they know if
Definitely. So I'm on the train of like there might be no election. I really can't say with confidence there will be an election. For the things I know, the things we've covered, the things that we called months and weeks and years in advance that are now just coming out true, I cannot say with confidence we will have
Cap, we can get
an
weird.
election.
We can get really fucking weird, dude, because there's a book written in the 1890s called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Before we go down that rabbit hole, let me ask you a couple of more policy related questions or get your takes on certain things because like that could go.
I think we
Trump
just
thing.
stopped a. I think we. Oh man, I was interested.
Yeah.
I know that whole little story.
So let me give you kind of James, like the libertarian criticism of Trump from within the liberty community, and it's that he didn't go far enough the first time around, or they didn't do things. Right. So a lot of people. Let's use the FBI as an example. Right now, everybody's obviously fucking seeing how crazy the FBI has gone. How corrupt they are. They've always been corrupt. Right, but libertarians understand it's always been corrupt. Since the very initiation, and now a lot of
be a libertarian. I used to think I was a libertarian.
I'm just saying, like a lot of right wingers now understand that. So then Trump he makes this tweet the other day about the FBI building. So sorry, not tweet, his Truth Social, whatever. Saying that he's going to build them a new building. In long story short, I look at that. I'm like, what the fuck? Build them a new building? I want them eliminated. I want them all fired, the building closed, and then demolished down to the ground. I don't want any new buildings. So I look at that and I get annoyed, right? And I'm like, it kind of black pills me on Trump. I'm like, is he going to go in there and try and like work the game again?
Make amends? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I want. I want the anarchist case for Trump is that his ego is so, like they've bruised his ego so much that he's going to go in there and do what the anarchist wants, which is like completely downsize the system to zero or somewhere close to that. Why, on that specific tweet, what was that in your opinion? I know maybe Alan has his own thing, but like, why? What is that? Explain that to me from the Trump supporter point of view.
So, me personally, when Donald Trump tweets these things, he says a lot of things that I don't agree with. It's not like I agree with everything the man says or does. But also there's like a gamesmanship to what's going on. There's definitely like a big gamesmanship.
A game that needs to be played.
Yeah, it's 100%. He's playing the game, and this is like game theory. This is, he's moving pieces on the chessboard, and he's falling on swords. It goes back to the whole vaccine argument. Like, I truly believe that with the vaccine, he knew that if he didn't put one out, they were going to put one out, and they were going to mandate it. So he had no choice but to put it out, and he has to fall on that sword. And that's a very short reason as to why he did it, but he can't come out and say it's bad, because then they'll push all the fucking negative shit that has happened right onto him, and that's their scapegoat. So he has to continue to say it's good. He has to play this game. He has to toe the line. So, he constantly says a ton of other things like this can never happen again. Well, if this can never happen again, then there can't be an FBI like we have today currently. And with these policies and these things that are happening, I'm with you, Cap. There's a possibility that we may not have a 2024 election. There's a very big possibility that's on the table. They do not want Donald Trump to get in office. Like you can clearly see that clear as day. They will do anything to stop this man from getting into office. And I think that him putting out certain tweets like that, it keeps those still normie boomer conservatives, which is still a big part of his base, very big part of his base, like still there. Like he doesn't want to turn into the AOCs with the liberals, how they like the liberals, the boomer liberals see the AOCs, how she's some fucking complete whack job, and her policies are too progressive. Like if he comes out and says he wants to demolish the FBI, because that's what a lot of people around him are saying they want to happen. They're like I look a lot like at his kids. I look at the people that are around him and what they're saying more so than when I look at what he's saying. Because again, if he comes out and says that, there's going to be a portion of his base that will go over to DeSantis because we need some sense of normalcy, get back to where things are. So he needs to play the game. Like this is a war. Like we are literally at war right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Our country is at stake, and if we lose this election and we do not get rid of this current regime that's governing us, and reestablish our republic, like there's no going back. And I say all the time, Skaggs, that this can't be a giant remove and replace operation. Like if we truly want to win this war, if we truly want to save our republic, which I truly think is what's happening right now, we're watching the dismantling of the old guard and the old way of things. And some would say the corporation of America. We can't just say, okay, we arrested all these people. Let's just say in a perfect world, Donald Trump gets in office, drops the hammer. Everybody gets held accountable for all their crimes, all their treason. They all get held accountable. All right, well, what do we do next? Do we just, put in guys that we trust now? Like, here's our guys that we like.
How do we even trust the guys that Trump puts in?
That's exactly my point. And let's just say, like, these guys that we put in are vetted by society. Like, all of the humanity is 100% by like
the only way. But the problem is, the only way I would believe that is if me, you, and Skaggs got put in.
No, but that like let's just say it's a perfect world. It's a perfect world, and everybody.
All right, boys, we're all in the house.
All of humanity is 100% behind the people that are now governing us. Like everybody is like, all right, now I see we got good guys. Like these are uncorruptible guys.
Sure.
Okay. Eventually, those guys are going to have to step down. Eventually, they're not going to be able to continue the role that they're currently in, whether it's Congress, Senate, the whatever position that they're in government. They're not going to be able to stay there forever, just like Donald Trump. And I say this all the time, and I think about this regularly. Like if we
got a good conversation coming up.
If we have a 2024 election and Donald Trump does win, and we just do 4 years and like he arrests everybody, but we saw how quickly things changed once he left office. And I don't trust anybody in the Republican Party to take over. I trust nobody. Not one person that's in the Republican Party do I trust to say, okay, he's going to carry the torch for Donald Trump in keeping America great. And
that's why I like Vivek. Dude, I've been thinking about the same thing you've been thinking about. You don't need to like Vivek, but dude, I've been thinking of like, what's Trump's last move? Because by the time these 4 years are up, he's going to be an old man. Can he still do more? Probably. But Trump's also got to think of his future. Who's the next king? What's the pathway to the next king?
Not just the next king, though, dude, because it has to be a guy. I think about this. Like, it can't just be a politician. It can't be just some guy that like it has to be a guy who's uncorruptible. The reason why Donald Trump is able to do what he's able to do is because he's got billions of dollars in the bank, and he can't be bought.
He fuck you money, yeah.
He's got fuck you money, and for whatever reason, he knew not to hang around Epstein, didn't get blackmailed. None of the things that work on everybody else worked on him. Nothing. He doesn't drink. He likes his women. Nothing wrong with that. We all do.
He likes older women. Yeah.
He likes women, period. Yeah. He likes women. Like you saw him at the UFC fight when the ring.
Not a bad thing. Yeah.
He's
not a bad thing.
Like, I'd be doing the same fucking thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Like we idolize guys like Derek Jeter,
Right.
who just has feathers in his cap all over the place, and
like Ric Flair, 10,000 fucking
exactly. Like he likes women. What the fuck is wrong with that? Like men like women. It's his story is
as old as men.
Yeah.
As old as
Cavemen.
Yeah.
They went out
With a fucking
everything
with a
they do.
bat.
So he's able to do those things and stay clean because of his money, because of what he's been able to build for himself. You can't put in a guy who's just a guy. Like if you put in a guy who's just a guy, they're either going to get blackmailed doing something stupid and not even realize it. Like they'll be in a room. Like all you have to do is send this guy into the room with a two-way mirror, and all of a sudden you bring in some young girl and you get her to strip naked. They don't even have to do nothing. I'm getting out of here, like immediately getting out of there. They can get up and immediately get the fuck out.
But there's
already one picture. Yeah.
Done. You're done. And for whatever reason, there's no blackmail on this guy. So you have to figure out, like, because even if we arrest everybody, evil is not going away. It's not going to just poof disappear. It's going to stay. And even if we put in the most uncorruptible people in the world into office, there are eventually going to be new people in there that can be corrupted. The system itself is flawed. Our founding fathers told us that it's flawed. It's not perfect.
I've always believed that even if Trump fixes everything, if we get this American utopia, we might live through it. Skaggs' children might live through it. Skaggs' grandchildren might live through it. But eventually, the empire will crumble from within.
So real quick, James,
leak its way back in.
James, you have said to me before that Skaggs, you're me like 5 years ago, right? When I thought I was a libertarian, and like eventually, then I learned you are me 5 years ago, right? You, James, are going to become an anarchist in the future because you are making the anarchist case for why there should be anarchism, right? Because it doesn't matter. Even if, yes, it's preferable. We're going to actually have a minarchism versus anarchism debate, Cap, which I think will be interesting. But even if we were to do that, what you're saying could happen, the good thing that could happen is minarchism. We could put a bunch of good people in charge. They shrink the size of the government back down to almost nothing, and they're like moral, and they rule us the right way. But eventually, the state will grow, and it will get back to this evil, corrupted way that it is now. So anarchism, in a sense, is like we need to change the way that the structure of this shit works. It has to be completely rethought, completely changed. Because if we don't, like democracy is not a good system. But go ahead. You're chomping at the bit. So go ahead.
Not completely, because I'm with you. Your point is very, very, very valid. But I think the human element, I think we wouldn't survive anarchism with the human element. I think there's too many people in this world that are just pure evil. They're evil people, and they will figure out how to get their resources and become the biggest swinging dick and control things. It wouldn't be as clean as it theoretically sounds, just kind of like socialism. I think no government would be fantastic, but I just don't think it's a real reality. I don't think
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
I don't think it's a possibility with the human element. So I think that our founding fathers told us that we'd have to fight for our freedoms once again. And I think we're going through that as we speak. I think this is what's going on. I think we're fighting for our freedom.
Amazing how millennials have to deal with all this shit
as we speak. I think this is what's going on, and it's an information war. It's not a kinetic war. And we're fighting for our republic. And there is no going, like pre-2020 and how things happened. We'll never go back to that. You can't put that cat back in the bag. Like it's either going to be totalitarianism and we're going to be controlled, or we're going to destroy what they're trying to do. And it's going to be
it's a make or break here. Yeah. There's no way around it.
It's going to be something
the
new,
most important election.
Yes. So I think that, it's very possible that everything gets dismantled down to our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I think it's going to go down to that, and there's going to be some restructuring of the Constitution to limit government's power even further. Not limit, and I think that's where the Internet Bill of Rights comes into play. I think that's where we can get something like that. I think that's where we can, put things into place.
Amend the First Amendment to include like
Yeah.
free speech on the internet and
Everything. No,
sharing
everything,
of
everything, everything. And not just that. Really solidify the Second Amendment. So there's no room for any fucking whatsoever.
I get to walk down the street with a bazooka. Fuck you, it's my right.
But also, things to restrict our governing body, because that's what our founding fathers intended. Our founding fathers didn't expect congressmen to be career politicians. They were supposed to just work in society and then go serve as politician and then go back to working in society. Like that was their plan and how they saw it. And it clearly hasn't worked.
Short-term limits.
Yes. So that's where we institute term limits. No lobbying, no trading on the stock market. None of these things where you can gain any sort of advantage whatsoever. Like these are the things, very common sense things that should be in place, and restricting not the individual, not citizens, but the government. Restriction of the government. Not anybody else. No regulations on business or society. Regulations on the government and what they're able to do. Because back to my human element with the anarchism, as much as there is evil, there is also a ton of good and a ton of great. And innovation thrives when humanity is able to do things without people watching over us. If we're forced as human beings to figure shit out, to make things better, we're going to do it. And we see it today still. Like, look at people with schools, like all these rich alums. They go and donate fucking boatloads of money. They like now instead of doing that, we do that for society. These people that are very wealthy and well off, they want their roads to be driven on. They are like, okay, let's fucking, instead of spending millions of dollars over to Ukraine, we can fix the roads pretty simply with a little bit of money. Our government spends $2 million just to build a fucking 10 by 10 outhouse for people to use in a park, and they take 2 years to do it. Like, they're just throwing money out the window. A job that literally costs probably 50 grand to do, they're doing it for $2 million. And this is something that Donald Trump has done his entire life. If you go to the Waldman Ice Rink, out in, I think that's what it's called, the Waldman Ice Rink in New York City, he had a big issue with Mayor Koch. Mayor Koch was taking years and years. He's like, yo, like, I'll pay for it. I'll use my workers. I will do it. I will get it done.
Get it done in a year.
The on time and under budget is what he said over and over again. And he got it done before time and under budget. And it took them like 5 years. He's like, yo, I'm looking out at this fucking eyesore every day that you guys are trying to work on and spend our tax dollars on. I don't want to look at it anymore. Like, I will pay for it out of my own dollar. I'll get all the workers there and it'll be done quickly in a timely manner. And
let me interject for a second here. So this is actually pretty good, because I think we might have just discovered something for a way of a path forward.
We did.
We have this point of view of somebody who's in favor of anarchism, and the pushback is you don't believe that, that anarchism would fully work. There needs to be some type of limitation, a shrinkage of government. But I think the way anarchism works the best would be your free will. The cities have these small state governments that govern them, but you also have the right to opt out of that and live an anarchist lifestyle. I might not get to live in Lower Manhattan or Queens and Brooklyn, but I get to go move upstate to Albany or Oswego or whatever and live on a homestead as an anarchist. And this is me. This is my government. This is my sovereignty. Everybody who wants to live by state government, please, by all means, go. Whoever wants to be on their own and opt out of this shit, there's no exit fee. Go and do you. And you will welcome you back with open arms whenever.
Yeah, you're describing what we talked about before, a voluntarist society, right? Like, you could voluntarily create a government and join it if you wanted to, and you just can't force anybody else to do that. Right, that's what we're talking about here.
And if you want to, you want to go back to the state-run cities,
sure,
go back to the state-run cities.
They can,
no problem.
It's freedom down to the individual. You could, like, if I want to choose, again, like I'm an anarcho-capitalist, right? So like if some group of people want to create a hippie commune and like operate by communism within the commune,
Or no,
okay,
you
like
create
as
a
long as you don't
commune
force
bank
me,
that works.
I'm just saying, as long as you
Yeah.
don't force me into your commune or something like that, then do what you want to
Right.
do, you know?
But also, like, you know, open capitalism, you know, a commune creates a bank that's better than Bank of America, and it puts Bank of America out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
you're the better product.
the other James, we'll just jump in here, but the other thing is that they won't, right? Because communism doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? Free markets
Yeah.
and freedom is what works, right? So the other point is that,
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure.
Well, that was
if
a
you
bad
want to, like,
example by me,
I'm just
but you
saying,
get
I'm
what
just
I'm
saying,
saying, like-
even in general, like the idea of like the voluntary society, and if you want to like volunteer to live in a state, like by nature, states are just more inefficient. Like those things are not going to do as good as
Yeah.
everywhere else.
Yeah.
And the market will win out over time as long as it's voluntary. You know, it will.
100%. And this is exactly why I think that as limited of government as possible, because I like that idea. I think it sounds great, but at some point that governing body that's governing
Isn't going to like the people who have their freedom. Yeah.
isn't going to like the
You're
people that
going
have
back to
their
human nature. You're saying that human nature will override the system that we create.
And the state, the anatomy of the state will create that.
Yes, human nature changes everything. This is why our founding fathers knew that in the future things would change. They knew human nature would take hold of things and figure out ways to manipulate the system to control people. And you know, you go through history and you learn about how our country became a corporation. You learn about how we took a fuck ton of money from England during the Civil War and we have to pay that back. Like all these things people don't know about. They have no idea are even a part of how our government works. And they just like, oh, it's just here. It's part of society. Like they've been literally brainwashed from generation to generation that our government is looking after us. So I think we have a very big opportunity in our lifetime to make a major correction, and fix the system at least for another couple hundred years. It may not be perfect now. It may not be perfect when
It's going to fall again.
Exactly.
No matter what we do right now, like we win. Let's say, you know, we get this utopia, we win. James, you already believe we won the war. What does that mean? Skaggs' child, our future children get to grow up in a society that is just plentiful and bountiful,
Prosperous, yeah.
and we get to prosperous, and our grandkids get to live in an advanced civilization, but our great grandkids be the first to start seeing a little restriction, and they go,
I think it takes a little longer.
So you guys both then think that the concept of the fourth turning is like a law of nature, at least human.
It
nature.
has
You guys
to
familiar
be.
with you're familiar,
It
James,
has
I'm
to
sure,
be.
with the fourth turning, are you?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay, so
explain
for
it,
those
yeah.
so for those who don't know, the concept of the fourth turning is like strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men, and on and on and on. And that it, you know, like if you look back at human history, it's like every 75 to 100 years this cycle occurs, and you could like chart it back. And
we got to 100
and then there's also
years, 20.
And then there's also like
1920
mega
was the
cycles
Great
within
Depression.
there's also mega cycles within these 75-year cycles, right? So there's a gigantic cycle that, you know, human society will go through where, you know, like you could say from like the Industrial Revolution to now we're in like the mega cycle, but there might be a couple more fourth turnings within the mega cycle, and this goes on and on and on throughout human history.
Yes, I do think that is a cycle that happens fairly regularly, but I think with technology,
it's altered that.
I agree. I think the timeline has been altered. And I really think about this all of the time, that if we truly are to win this war and we are to restore this republic, like I said, we can't have a giant remove and replace operation. We can't. It'll go back to business as usual. We might as well have done this all for nothing. We might as well let them continue.
Do you think we need to lose the internet
and figure it? No, I don't think we need. No, I think we're going to get more than just the internet. I think we're going to get more technology.
All the access.
I think we're going to get access to things that they have access to that they've been withholding from humanity. Like
that's interesting. That's the first time I've really thought about that.
But here's the thing. Like look at what they're putting us through right now. Like look at what society.
That's a big white pill. That's a big white pill right there.
Look at what society is going through right now. we're getting fucked. Like we are getting fucked. People are dying.
Yeah.
Left
And a lot of people, it doesn't matter who you voted for. A lot of people agree with you. You voted for Joe Biden. You voted for Hillary Clinton. You voted
Sounds
for Donald
like
Trump.
hard
You voted for Ron
times.
DeSantis.
Sounds like strong men created weak men who are now creating
100%.
hard times.
It's hard times. 1,000%.
1,000.
What's crazy about these hard times is it's not created by society. It's created by the elites that rule us. Like they're shoving these hard times on us. They really are. Like, look at what they've done with farming. Look what they've done with being self-sufficient. They've taken that all away from us. Like they've literally, very few people are self-sufficient. This goes back to my food thing, how people are going back to homesteading, to growing their own shit. Like we're circling back away from what these elites have been shoving down our throats. Like, the harder way to do things, but we realize it's got longer term benefits rather than these short term wins for long term problems. And we're going back to that. So I think they've withheld a lot of things from us. Like, look at the people with the water that create water powered cars. They always end up
Always
dead.
die.
Guy who created frequency healing, dead. Nikola Tesla doesn't get credit for anything that he did. Literally, all the tech that we have right now could be credited to this guy, Nikola Tesla, and 99% of the population has no clue who this fucking guy is. Thomas Edison took all of his inventions from Nikola Tesla. Everything. The guy died poor. He said he figured out.
I'm gonna mark it right here, though. We need a Nikola Tesla episode. This is the second time we've gotten into this, and if we get into it now, we're gonna be here till midnight. So we can't do that. But
it's so important to this story because
where the corruption started.
Not started, but it's a huge part of it. The government withheld so much of his technology from us.
Didn't he have like potentially like perpetual energy?
He figured out free energy.
Isn't like, if you look at like past architectures with all the bulbs on the top and the antennas and stuff, it was bringing in energy from the universe and the planet.
So
and then once they discovered that, everything became boxes. Look at New York City. It's all we got one building with a fucking big antenna, and the rest are all boxes in Manhattan.
Going back to the real quick, the fourth turning concept, right? You're talking about almost like ancient history too, Cap, here, right? Like Egyptians and shit. I was talking before about the mega cycle. Like, they're part of the mega cycle.
I believe I believe there was a mega cycle before them. There was advanced civilizations before the Ice Age.
Probably, right? And they had their cycle of ups and downs, and their whole civilization's gone. We're talking about like the Graham Hancock fucking 40,000 years ago shit. The Egyptians, they're a mega cycle. They had their ups and downs. Their whole society was super advanced. They built the fucking pyramids, right? They collapsed. The Romans had their period of fucking, hundreds of years, right? That's a mega cycle. They had their ups and downs. Now they're gone. There was kind of the start period. Now we're in the next one. We're in the next mega cycle, which has its ups and downs
But with each mega cycle, new technology is discovered to give you longevity.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying before, how technology is like going to break the timeline. I think that's what you were alluding to before, James, right?
Yeah. So I really think that free energy is something that we know exists. Energy is all around us. Like, everything is energy, and we can tap into that. Humanity has figured out how to do this already.
How about the sun? The sun puts enough energy on the earth in one day. I think it's more than humanity has ever used. So, like, the sun gives the earth so much energy, literally in one day.
Think of how much more energy we're allowing
humanity
to go to
has used in its history. Yeah.
So, technology like free energy would change humanity forever. It's not just the United States, everywhere
globally,
forever. It would make such an impact on the world that I don't even think someone like myself who's sat here and contemplated this for hours could even fathom. Like,
I don't even know where to begin to believe how it exists.
Well, it definitely does exist. Nikola
Tesla,
I
understand that, but like, where you even came up with the first,
but when people think of free energy, the first thing that they think about is like,
the government providing it for you.
I don't got to pay my gas bill. I don't got to pay my electric bill. No, I don't have all of these expenses that are a part of life. And this is part of the rat race. This is part of how they keep the bills, and all of the payments that we have to make is how they keep us working and being busy bees and doing all of these things. And I think about all these people that are brilliantly smart. They're unbelievably brilliant, but because they have a family and they got put food on their table, they're working some desk job, typing things into the keyboard, coding for some company because they need to pay their bills and they don't have time. They're so stressed out. They're so tired. They don't want to put in time to their dream and actually do what they want to do and, make something amazing because they're so busy in the rat race. Free energy, you no longer have all these bills weighing you down. Majority of the reason why you're working this job that you fucking hate. Everything and everything now costs a lot less. Because think about it. What is the cost of goods to get it, transporting it from place to place? The farmers, how much energy are they using to grow all of the food?
That's why electric cars make no sense. Moving the cobalt.
Here's another thought I have with the if this is the weed talking, right? But if we were to get to a point where we have free electricity, that tells me that there's some sort of renewable energy source, so we don't have to do anything for it to give us electricity energy
around us.
Right.
So, but then we have the opportunity to go back to primitive ways to be on our own.
We can harness this energy without having to input anything. That's what makes it actually naturally free. Because we're not talking about communist free where the government's paying for it. So I'm talking about we don't have to do anything and we just somehow have a conduit to unlimited energy. We could
everything around us is energy.
I'm saying if we figured this out, we could get off this rock so easily. We could colonize the fucking entire universe, right? Why? Because we have
get off the rock.
But I'm saying we could though. We have unlimited free energy. We could put the thing in a rocket that goes at unlimited fucking speed because it has unlimited free energy, and we could go to Mars in 1 second.
And maybe that's not available to us because the Earth is flat. But no, I don't believe I'm joking. Seriously,
that's not my concept. What I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. We'll be able to leave the planet and all that. But what James is going to say is, if we have this, the planet will be running so efficiently and so perfectly, we won't need to leave the planet.
It would be because again, the rat race. Think about why people do what they do.
The rat race, yeah.
Humanity is working a job that they hate. They don't do it because they love it. So there's a percentage of people that have a job that they love. They love their job. But there's so few and far between. There's so fucking few people that are doing what they wake up and they dream about doing. And it may not even be work. Your dream may be just to, go jet skiing all over the world. If it's free for energy, you can fly anywhere the fuck you want. The only reason you're working this job is so you can pay for your flights to travel all over and go jet skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like everything comes down to that
you're
rat
right.
race.
You're right. We're working to so we could access energy that we could use to then do something we want to actually do. The example
so
of
do we think
if we want to fly somewhere, if we want to go on vacation, we have to fly, right? That takes energy. Gasoline needs to be burned. That's expensive. A plane needs to lift you up and bring you there, right? Someone has to do that. We might have to do things we don't want to do in order to get that.
Yes.
Do we think 2024, since this is about our predictions, is the gateway to something like that?
No, I think it really is. I this is what I talk about all the time. If these people get held accountable and we actually want to restore our republic, we cannot just remove and replace. It doesn't work. It's not if we just do a remove and replacement operation, Donald Trump leaves in 2028, we're fucked. We lost the war. There's no point. We are fucked. They control us, everything. We're fucked. There's no point.
Live in the pods, own nothing, be happy, watch the porn.
So you're not for remove and replace.
We just delayed it by a couple years. Mm-hmm. And what we've been put through as humanity, as citizens, we have been through a lot. These evil fucks have done a lot of evil shit to humanity. Not just the children, not just the surface level shit. All the social engineering that they did to humans, where families are literally warring at each other over politics and nonsense. Human beings, family is the most important thing. You guys are Italian. Without family, there's nothing.
But you're right. They infiltrated.
I wish
the
you
family,
could meet our friends group. I wish you could meet our friends group, bro. Yeah.
But that's
We
but
understand that.
that was part of their agenda, was to destroy the family, get people not in their family. Like, look at what COVID did. Look what China virus did to family. Like, people died.
Yes, and those bonds are stronger than we could even comprehend, right? Like, you could point to our friends group, Cap. We love to hang out and we're like a family. Like, why? What's like driving us to do that all the time? Some sort of like innate force of the universe. Not even alcohol, dude. Like some sort of innate force, like binds you together.
Behind it.
And you're right, and that could go for like your actual family too. And they're trying to like put a fucking wedge in between you and that to break that up, because that's more powerful.
So think of it this way: we were talking about a blackout. We're talking about things going dark. We're talking about the internet falling apart. What's going to save you in these dire times is if you had a strong family unit and a strong friend unit. Most of our Italian ancestors and basically our older relatives, we all had the Italian uncle who lived down the street from his mom and dad, who lived around the corner from his two cousins. His brother bought the house 3 blocks down. Everybody lived in walking distance from each other for a very long time. The power went down. We're all going to uncle's house. All the cousins are meeting at grandma and grandpa's house. You know what I mean? Like, you knew that your next door neighbor was so-and-so. I live in an apartment. I only know one neighbor. There's 6 people in my little corner over here. I only know one person. Who am I going to trust out of the other 4 people? 100%. You know, and that's they put this wedge in there. And as time went on, the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, then your family started splitting up. There's some over here. There's some in Jersey. There's some in New York. Some in upstate New York. Blah blah blah.
Remember we had Larry Sharp on, Cap? Remember we had Larry Sharp on, Cap, and he was like, it literally breaks up families. Larry Sharp made the point. He's like, my mom, Larry Sharp's from New York. He's like, my mom can't afford to live in New York now. She had to like go down to Florida because it's cheaper there. Now I don't get to see my mom anymore. Like, it literally breaks
shit hits the fan. You're never going to see your mom again.
Done by design. This is all done by design. They don't want you by your family. They don't want, like, it's only been, really think about this. Like, it's only been two, maybe 3 generations since like you just described, and it wasn't just Italians. Everybody stayed by their family.
I could give it to like the 80s, bro. This was still a regular thing.
But like, people were leaving their family because, like, I think about, for example, a lot of the reasons why you go elsewhere is because of work, because of how much it costs, how expensive things are. So you need to find either cheaper living or better work. One of the two is forcing you to leave. And society, one of the social engineering programs was, you got to get out of the house by 18. Like, that was a big social engineering program, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, in Europe, you don't leave till you're married.
Right.
Yes. And
but that doesn't mean that you're not a productive member of society, though. Yeah. Like, in Italy, you could go to one of these like backcountry towns and like, the family all lives together and everybody's got a job and they're all productive and it's great. Yeah.
Exactly my point. The social engineering programs that they put on us, that, all of a sudden you have to go to college. Like, our parents were the first generation that really had college. Like, really think, like, you had universities like Oxford, like all these old school, like, that have been around forever. But like, college as a concept was really introduced during our parents' generation. And prior, like, our grandparents, college didn't really exist. Like, my grandmother graduated college at 80 because there was no college when she fucking was around. So that concept of going to college, it immediately puts you behind the 8 ball. You're most likely in debt. Now you have to go and come home from college. You have to go get a job, and you have to go get your own place. You get an apartment. You get out of the house.
You're paying rent. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay your fucking loan off. Yeah. It's all designed to suck the money out of you. What do the wealthy do? They keep most of their income. They operate as entities. They get taxed less.
But no, this is part of their social engineering programs. Like, this is not.
That's why we need an opt-out opportunity.
It's not even because there's an opt-out opportunity, because that's my point. Like, if there was an opt-out opportunity, it would be very short-lived. They're eventually,
because nobody's prepared to do an opt-out. Yeah, live in a different way.
Everybody's going to go live with the government because they're getting everything. Like, it's convenient. No one wants to deal with the fucking bullshit that comes with being
a farmer. Yeah.
free human being. Like no one wants to get up in the morning and deal with their chickens and farm and have cow butcher.
Yeah.
That's why ranchers are the way ranchers are, because they understand what that slice of freedom is.
But
It's not freedom from responsibility.
Modern society is not going away. Like there is a place in this world for modern conveniences. There is a place in this world for sports. There is a place in this world for a lot of these things that are distractions or are put in place there to keep us from doing certain things like sports. So I am a giant sports fan, a huge sports fan. There's a place for movies and entertainment. I'm a huge movie. You guys do movies all of the time. And in an opt-out version, that a lot of that stuff is going to go away for a while. Like it's going to take a lot of capital that the people that have the capital aren't going to the opt-out version. It's there's going to be a time of nothing if there's an opt-out version. Like you're literally going to be like, it's like I'm going to be home. I'm voluntarily going to be homeless and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Saying like, that's basically what you're doing. And I'm going to just go grab a plot of land and get some cows and figure it out. Like it's not as easy as
well, most people aren't going to want to do that. Most people are. It's like heroin, right? Again, we could use Argentina as an example. You know, their new president's coming in and he's basically telling everybody, hey, we're going to be cutting it cold turkey. And you're seeing people have withdrawals, literally. Again, we're using the banking example before. Those people don't want the market to be, deregulated or whatever. They want it regulated, right? Because that's keeping their grift, their hold on everything. And you could extrapolate that to like people aren't going to want to fucking farm. They want their like easy job of like robbing people because they have a government, they work in a government fucking social worker office or whatever it is.
Skag, I'll be real with you. I don't want to. Like, it's not something that I want to do. It's only because I'm being forced, because I don't trust the supply. Like, if there was a way where we knew our supply was good, like we could go back to old times where there were ranchers around, and I could go straight to the rancher and buy directly from him. I'd much rather do that than these big.
But you don't want to be a rancher, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't want to be a rancher. No, that takes a lot of time and effort. Like I want to still enjoy
modern
society. Sure. Like I still want to go to sports games. I still want to go to concerts. I still want to be able to go and hang out with you guys on a Zoom call and do the show. Like I still want those things to exist, but the system has been corrupted. It has to be completely restructured from our founding documents so that it can't be corrupted again. You know what I'm saying? And to make sure that these organizations like the FDA can't exist or be corrupted, and they're actually there to make sure that our food supply is good and it is pure and it should be, and we shouldn't be getting all these processed foods and garbage fed to us. But that goes into a whole nother thing, why it's done by design. Like these things need to be completely shifted so those types of things can't happen. Why is it in Europe it's illegal for a lot of these products? Like you go to Italy, you eat like a fucking pig. You eat like,
and you lose weight.
And you lose weight. Why is that? Because it's fresh. It's not pumped. It's
not poison.
Garbage. It's not poison. Why can't the United States have something similar?
I also think that there's some cultural aspect to that as well. Like culture is extremely important. Italians would not fucking stand for eating garbage shit pumped into their food culturally, right? And that almost
but that means that American culture is to poison its people.
Yeah,
it's not that it's its culture. It's like that's not like
but it is
just everybody likes to point to
because
that.
That's what they agree upon to eat. I think we should all be eating pure nonsensical stuff.
I don't think that's our culture. I don't think our culture is strong enough to withstand that thing. Like we're using
the information's out there that Doritos and Gatorade causes brain damage.
But Americans were not raised in the culture that Italians in Italy were. When it comes to food, we're talking about food. This is one example of culture, food. There's a million different examples. The Italian culture when it comes to food is so strong, right? Like people in Italy are not going to stand for that. It's just whatever. They'll live under fucking Mussolini, but the food's going to be good. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I even think about a traditional Italian food. Like my grandfather lived on a farm in Avellino, Italy, and he lived off the land his entire life.
It's ingrained in their culture. Here's our example of it, Cap. You'll understand this better than anyone. Guns. We're not giving them up. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Right? That's our like strong point in our culture. In Italy, you know, like they don't have that same concept when it comes to three of us about guns. They have that when it comes to food, but not when it comes to guns. So like that's our strong point in our culture.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guns
without
is
doubt.
our history.
But I do think that we can have a lot of these modern conveniences and innovations, and I think we can grow on them and make them better. If we can figure out how to make this system not as corruptible as it is. The system that we currently have.
The only way there is a level of replacement that has to take place. But I don't think there's no system that is immune to corruption, because you look at like drug trafficking throughout time, or like prostitution throughout time. Like in like the 50s and 60s, it was much easier to traffic drugs and get prostitutes. Think of like what Frank Sinatra got away with in the early days of Vegas. Then you fast forward to the 80s of like drug trafficking and like prostitution. It's more well known. There's more things, but there's still drug trafficking. So it evolves. And as we create this new utopia, the evil from within will evolve.
Yes.
And we will crumble once again, and we will need to redeem ourselves once again.
But our founding fathers gave us some good wiggle room. Like I would say, really, up into the 90s, up until 2001.
Sure, yeah, that's a good point. They bought us 250 years. An experiment.
America was a pretty cool fucking place.
Yes,
like shit was fucking popping over here.
Yeah.
Everybody,
the 90s were the height of civilization. After that, fell apart.
So it bought us a long period of time, and they had the foresight to say, "Hey, we put this system together the best we possibly could. We don't know what the future holds, what's going to come as far as technology, because technology was evolving back then as well, just like it is now. We don't know what technology is going to be like 50 years down the road, 100 years down the road, and that's not even including the technology that's being withheld from us that could be given. Like, what if
I think those things are also inextricably tied to the idea of like freedom and whatnot. I know, like, I got this from Vivek, so I'm not a genius or anything here. And he was talking about how Thomas Jefferson literally invented the swivel chair while he was like in the process of kind of like drafting the founding documents. He's sitting at a desk and he's like writing, and he's like, "Fuck, it'd be like way better if I could like shift around, like while I'm sitting here at the desk." And he invented the swivel chair. We're sitting in swivel chairs right now, right while we're talking about like the challenge our republic is facing, like to an extent. Like there's a little bit, that's a cool thought to know, like while we do most of these podcasts, we're literally sitting in fucking swivel chairs and we're like debating, like what do we do, how do we fix this thing, the same way that they were at the time.
I did not know that little fact about Thomas Jefferson. That's really cool.
The more you know.
Something about a swivel chair. It's when swivel chairs start coming out, people start fucking rebelling against their government.
Yeah.
He also may have been black, but that's another argument.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Alan blew my mind with that one.
No, me and Alan have been, it's fucking wild. But I really think that with technology, with what we know now about the evolution of technology and how technology plays an impact in society, we can add to our founding documents in a way that could give us another 200, 250 years.
I think that's a very important aspect that you're talking about.
Prosperous, as being a prosperous nation and growing as a civilization, and humans getting better as human beings. Because that's that. If you ask me, I would say since the 40s and 50s, like humans as human beings have been taking a downturn. As far as
that's the fourth turning.
As far as how our health. You look back at the 70s, there wasn't really many fat people.
Canada's fucking life expectancy rate is going down after
for
going up.
Ever.
Yeah, for going up, since going up nonstop for the past fucking like 200 years or whatever it's been.
Yep. So I think the vaccine plays a role in that as well. But that's another argument. But I think our health, our fitness, men is very, very measurable in men as far as testosterone.
A lot of weak men, yeah.
No, just pure testosterone levels, like the testosterone that our grandfathers had. our fathers had and what we have, it's like it's disgusting, the statistics and how low our
Microplastics fucking in our DNA now, essentially,
everything.
or our
No, everything.
cells. Yeah.
I think I think as human beings, there's the technology has allowed certain human beings to exceed and become way superior genetically, and things like that when it comes to athletics and things
That's
like
true.
that. Like
People
that
were
aspect.
smaller back in the day too.
Yes.
Like I've
Yep.
been to
Yes.
Venice,
But they were all ripped and they were all.
Well,
yeah,
in
but
better
dude, I've been to
muscular.
Venice. I've been to Venice, and I went to like some museum, and the suits of armor were like children sized, and they were like, yeah, people were just smaller back then because they didn't eat as good as we do now. Like,
Well,
they have as much-
Americans
yeah.
have always been known to be bigger because
Well-
look at what we eat. Look at the way our life is. It's king's ransom.
Well, not just there's been big people throughout history. Like I look at the Vikings; they were fucking
Yeah.
human beings.
But that's just genetics because
yeah.
they were
Well,
dominant.
there's
They were the
Neanderthals.
predators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was always big civilizations and bigger humans. Italy were always small. Like even today in society, like Italians are small.
Italians are swimmers. They had
5'9"
water
white guy,
around
5'9"
them.
white guy from the Bronx. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's fucking none of them are 6 feet.
Yeah.
So
All right.
you have
But-
that. So I think that we can have a good couple 100 years of very great prosperity, like where people, the innovation, the technology will be so great because people are not stuck in this rat race. They're not trying to put food on their table. They're able to live and do this. Like imagine you didn't have to worry about paying all of these bills and you could put all of your time and energy to what you love.
Making you happy. Yeah.
To what
Happiness is the true freedom. Yeah.
what you love. Now, everybody, that's different for everybody. Like for me, what I would love to do, I would love to go and surf all over the world, do some jujitsu, train all over the world, visit all of these places and do that. I'm not a creative. I don't know how to invent anything. Like I'm not big into like tinkering with tech or anything like that's never been my thing. I want to, do adrenaline seeking things. Like I want to have fun doing that kind of stuff. Like push my life, my adrenaline to the limit kind of stuff. But you might want to
Live worldly experiences with
you-
friends and family. Yeah.
you might be a person or someone else might be a person that just loves doing video game stuff or they love doing rocket ship stuff or they and they innovate. Like there's certain people that look at the road and they're like, I can invent something. Like they've already done it. Like there's products out there that are you can use for the road.
Well, freedom innovates, right? So if you have the freedom,
Yes.
of not being shackled down by energy constrictions, then yes, I do think that that's another form of freedom that can be like it will give people room to innovate, to make new shit. People won't be like, people won't be tied down.
That's why
in
we
their-
don't have the free technology.
Maybe
free
there's an
energy to do
Einstein,
it.
right, who's stuck being a janitor right now, or something
Yeah.
like that, and he never gets to become that guy.
What's the movie with Matt Damon's famous movie?
Goodwill Hunting.
Will Hunting. Thank you. That exact scenario exists every fucking day where this brilliant mathematician who could solve so much easily
Just in a shitty situation.
stuck working some job. And I think about that all of the time. And if we're able to do those things and I think about the future of humanity, like if we stay on this course that we're on right now with technology and human beings trying to compete with each other, humans are going to lose.
Fail.
We're fucked. We're fucked. And a way to solve that issue is to take the financial burden away from human beings. Now, all of a sudden, we don't have to worry about that. Let's let the robots do all the fucking like self-driving trucks. Absolutely. Let's send these self-driving trucks that we don't have to pay for gas or anything. Let them do whatever the fuck they want to do. Like go take care of all the self-driving, all of this stuff. Let the technology do the technology stuff rather than worrying. Like truck driving is the #1 profession in our country. If we have self-driving trucks, people are fucked.
Yeah.
Like humanity is fucked. So that's a huge worry. But now we don't have to worry about paying bills and
We could
just
do those
survive.
things without the trade off.
Yeah.
I see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a place for it because there's no going back. Like we can't just
No, we've reached the
Technology-
point of no return. Just like I always say, we've all looked behind the curtain. There's no going back to what we were doing.
I don't want to go
three
back
of
to
us
the
cannot put the
1920s.
toothpaste
No, the
back
three of
in
us
the tube.
cannot put our head back in the sand. It's just not going to work.
No, but as far as like as far as like technology goes, though, like I don't want to go back to 19.
No, I don't want to lose the cell phone and,
Yeah, I don't wanna
Google
lose-
capabilities and communication
Yeah,
capabilities.
we want the newest, latest, best shit. We don't want to.
Yeah.
Not only do we want to keep
always-
what we
I
have
always
now, we want
complain to
better.
my mother, like, you say you don't stay in touch with your friends, but like my mother doesn't really know how to text, or anything like that. And I'm like, I bet you if you were texting some of your friends who know how to text, you would have more conversations with them.
Be more fun.
You would stay in touch with them. Like times have changed. This is the way people communicate. You don't communicate this way, no one communicates with you. Two-way street. You got to learn the new communication.
Oh, without a doubt. And where life continually evolves. It's always going to change. And I think about it. Maybe there was advanced civilizations, which I think there truly was. Shangri-La, Atlantis, the pyramids.
We're not getting.
Yeah, we don't have enough
now.
time for that. Yeah,
Oh, I
That'd be a whole
know.
nother
I'm just saying.
episode.
I'm just saying. I think humanity at one point was super, super advanced as far as tech goes.
Oh, definitely
And I
was.
think there was a point that
If you look, I was
we had
talking
a
to somebody
big
about
reset.
this recently. A sauna conversation, as you were saying at the beginning of this podcast.
Gotta get in the
this guy was
sauna,
talking
man.
about
All the good
aliens.
fucking convos happen in the sauna.
Great
apparently.
conversations.
Fucking faggots over here. Jesus Christ.
Don't care. It's one of the healthiest
I
things
go to
I do.
the one gym I go to has a co-ed sauna. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that used to be fun at 24-hour fitness. But this guy's talking about aliens and what I think and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, like, if you look at like Egyptian hieroglyphics, they had like images for like jets and planes and
Light
things that could
bulbs.
fly
Yeah.
and light and cars and stuff like this.
I'm in the
They
belief
didn't
that
just
Egyptians-
make shapes and stuff. They saw something and they were like, this is the word for it, and made it, like
It's just different
this
from the way
symbol
we
means
like interpret
jet.
things today.
Yeah.
So, I think it's very weird to me that they saw these things and like they had all this tech because there's no way you could tell me that.
Yeah. But
They
they didn't
built the
record or like audio or visual.
They built the pyramids with slave labor. It's so perfect. Like down
Slaves aren't
longitude,
good laborers usually. They're not exactly master fucking journeyman carpenters.
And they fucking drag these 2-ton stones fucking thousands of miles to build this perfect pyramid at the
and then they lined up longitude and latitude on another continent to make the same pyramids.
There's no way you could tell me that. So and then they built all of that, and then they're writing fucking hammer, fucking just we're making a UFO, guys. We're making a car. I got hammered
The
into
Snake
wall,
King.
so I can document what I was seeing. Oh shit! Let me document this. Like, come on. I think me personally, I think that we were very.
They had iPhones back then.
I think of places like Shangri-La, Atlantis. That we were very, very advanced, and there was some sort of cataclysmic event where we were
The deal with the aliens went sour.
back into the ice ages, and we had.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible.
enough.
We could have been advanced in a different way. Like we didn't have. I know Captain's over here saying we got iPhones. They had iPhones. Maybe they didn't have iPhones. They had technology that was advanced, but not the way we would think of it now. They figured out something. In
They
a
might have
different
not
way.
need
I don't think it was
iPhones.
that far away though. Like one of my favorite conspiracies that I dig into now, and it fascinates me, is old architecture. Old architecture fascinates.
I know what you're talking about.
It is.
It can harness energy.
Mind blowing. The things that
How
were
did they
building.
build the cathedrals?
And you could give the best architects in the world today with the technology that we have today, and they're like, yeah, we can't do it. We can't.
That's why everything's a box
we
today.
can't duplicate what they did.
Everything's a
fucking
box now.
It
We
was nothing.
lost all that architecture, all that technology.
Or even the 1930s with the World Fairs, like how they were able to build these huge, elaborate structures and buildings and then tear them down. Like we can't do this again today. Like the technology that we have today, you're telling me we can't do today. And then I look into Zeppelins, like the Eiffel Tower and
was the last technologically advanced structure we built.
the Empire State Building was a dock.
It was supposed to
for
be a
these
dock.
fucking
Yeah.
Zeppelins.
Yeah.
For these Zeppelins to charge up their energy because it was free. Like these people were flying. They were flying in the 30s all over the world
blimps.
on these
Yeah.
giant blimps. Like these things existed, but they don't tell us about it. All we know about Zeppelins is the fucking Hindenburg. Like this giant blimp, and all of a sudden the aviation came out and they making all this money on gas and petroleum. Like, what were they? How were they charging these blimps with what? It wasn't. They didn't pay money for it. It was electricity.
There's one tower in New York with a famous antenna.
So as the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And it was
All
that
right, but hold
was
on.
built to fucking charge these goddamn Zeppelins. Like, what are we talking about? So I don't think the technology, like, I don't even think like in the 1920s and 30s the technology was that bad. I think it was much better than we thought it was.
Yeah.
In the 1920s and 30s. They're just hiding it from us. I think they really are. Like, I'm a believer in a lot of the photos that are really whitewashed and like there's no clouds, no anything. I'm a believer that a lot of it was whitewashed throughout history to take out the Zeppelins out of the air.
So there was more.
Because you think they were all up there?
There was more. Yeah, because people were traveling with these Zeppelins. They were like commercial flights, like on Zeppelins. Like you look inside these things, they were like fucking spectacular. They were
country
beautiful
clubs
on the inside. Like you're flying in the lap of luxury in the 1920s and 30s on these giant blimps, and they have to pay money for them. Like
fair enough.
And this is
all right. Well, hold on. We're way off track now. But Skaggs, how long have we been recording for now?
We're at like 2:10.
All right, I think it's
the
time
marathon,
to wrap it up. Yeah, we got to cut you off because I know you will. Yeah, marketing is at the door.
My brother-in-law just asked me if I wanted to go to the Knights game. He gave me 2 tickets. I sit right in the glass.
Nice.
Great.
Today?
I passed up the boys. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go, bro.
The game started 12 minutes ago. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well. Yeah. All right. So your final quick word for 2024. Give us a white pill for 2024, and we're signing off. Yeah.
A white pill? I think
2024, yeah.
I think 2024 is the catalyst into the great utopia.
Into what we've been talking about.
United States of America truly should be. I really do. I think we're gonna come out of this 2024, whether it's through an election or not. I think we're gonna come out on top. I think we're gonna come out better as a civilization, better as society. And we already won this war, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be a wild ride. Buckle up. It's going to be scary, but I truly believe that at the end we're going to see some light, and it's going to be a great time for not just us being that make it through, but future
for everybody. Yeah,
for the future of our civilization, 100%.
And that's a clip right there, Skaggs. All right. On that note, Doom Nation, thank you guys so much. James from We the People Radio, wealth of knowledge, an insane individual. Shout yourself out for whoever's still listening.
Yeah, we're live every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 Eastern. Come and hang out. We gangbang in the government. We'll have these guys back on. Everybody loves when you guys come on.
Hell yeah.
But you guys got to be together.
Yes, I got to be up at Skaggs.
He's gonna have to come to bed. His fucking internet sucks.
Otherwise, it never fucking works.
Yeah, no.
But we'll set something back up pretty soon. We're live. Follow me on Twitter, WPRUSA17, and Instagram, We the People Radio, with periods in between each word. Appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Dude, it was great. I knew you were one of the right people to get for a 2024 prediction, my
always
friend.
Always have fun. I'm always down.
All right, Doom Nation, that's been another installment of the Two Doom Men podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And on that note, adios.